This broadcast is not intended for children. There will be strong language and adult themes. Fuck you, nerdy. We're on time.
Good morning and good afternoon.
So, we have with us Godless Sewing.
How's it going?
And Jenny giving us the scenery by the river.
Yeah, I didn't get a real good parking spot today, so sorry. There's a couple guys that if they move, I'll go move over there and it'll be a better shot.
Yep.
And
in the side chat so far, we've got Nerdy Rodent and Greg Hartwick.
YouTube is horrible with their notifications today. Hey Greg, I had to search for the stream.
I've completely given up. I've just shut off notifications from YouTube because they consistently were giving me notifications half an hour after things went live, which was really handy for 15-minute premieres.
Exactly. I've missed 2 of Godless Granny's premieres because of that.
Oh, we got Stool. Hey, Stool. Why don't you jump on in here?
Is Jenny dogging again? That there's no other people except for Jenny there. But technically, that's kind of what people, when they're dogging, that is what they do.
Dogging? What's dogging?
It's when grown adults pick a space in the wilderness to go have sex. Strangers.
What?
Yeah, dogging is real.
Basically, it's just cruising outside for sex.
Exactly. You know what's so funny? Purple, do people still say cruising? I don't say cruising because that's like if I was to walk up to someone in the LGBTQIA plus community and say, hey, are you cruising? It's kind of derogatory, but I say it all the time.
I still use it, but I don't talk to other people enough to know if anyone else does.
Dogging is basically just public sex.
Oh, I've never done any of that. That's all weird. I wouldn't do weird things.
People are strange. You've never gone to an adult theater?
No, I wouldn't.
No, I have not either.
I have, but they tore them all down here in Hollywood and LA.
Yeah, Minneapolis got rid of them all too. What is cottaging? Nerdy Rodent's asking what cottaging is, and without some more context, I've got no clue what he's referring to.
You know what? You've exceeded my Jenny. Okay. You've exceeded my British slang.
Okay.
Cottaging is when you and your partner have sex and spread cottage cheese all over your bodies and then lick it off.
Ew.
Oh, it's not?
I don't know. I don't like cottage cheese. So I'm just saying ew.
Yeah. Okay. Dogging, sexual slang, a British English slang term for engaging in public sex while others watch.
Yep. Happens here all the time. It got so bad they started selling helicopters to certain parts to deter people from dogging. They put it in the in all the local television, all the local TV stations were like, hey, if we bust you, we're gonna like tell your spouse.
I'm surprised that the British have that term. I mean, I never imagined the British doing anything other than like missionary position in the dark with their clothes on.
No, there's a difference between the British people that get presented to us on television, even the internet, than the chavvy person who's sitting at home drinking a beer right now, minding their own business. Just how when people from other countries meet people from America and we're not what they expected, you know?
Yeah, well, the British are pretty diverse, actually, so.
Exactly. They extremely diverse. Hey, Nikki.
What I find interesting about the British is that it's not really that big of a country. You know, literally, all of Britain is smaller than the state of Minnesota.
Alexa, how large is the UK in square miles?
The United Kingdom is 94,100 square miles.
That's not
Yeah.
that.
Like I say, it's the size of the Midwest state. But at the same time, look at
Wait
how
a
many
minute,
dialects they
wait a
have.
minute. You can't stop there. You got to ask now what's the square mileage of Minnesota since you compared them.
Alexa, what's the square mileage of Minnesota?
According to another Amazon customer, 12. Minnesota, 86,939. 13. Utah, 84,899.
Alexa, thank you. They're about
Okay.
seven bigger than Minnesota.
Well, it's like 10% bigger.
I thought
Not
you
by
said
much.
86,000 for Minnesota and 94,000 for Britain.
Yeah, exactly. That's not that much of a stretch. Considering I always talk about this, okay? I live relatively towards the lower half of Southern California. To get to the border of Oregon, it takes 9 hours to drive through California. Just to get to Oregon, going north.
Yep.
It's huge. There was one time driving through Texas. It took we had alternate drivers, and it still took us 2 days to get to Brownsville.
Well,
From the border of Texas, it took us 2 days.
well, California is, even for the U.S., strangely large. It's like the size of 3 other states in most cases.
Exactly. And the bottom half of California kind of scoops in under other states too, what we would consider other states.
Yeah. Well, and it's long because it's basically just sprawled along the whole coast.
And our topography is insane because I can go from the beach to the desert to looking like somewhere where Jenny is, all within a 2-hour period.
Well, yeah, you can go from sunning on the beach to skiing in the mountains in about 3 hours.
That's why the Getty Museum, they specifically put an observation deck on this one hill, because if you stand on the terrace, you can see the ocean, mountains, and Los Angeles at the same time.
It's actually bigger than that. You can go in one drive. You can go from skiing in the mountains and drive all the way into the fires of hell burning on Earth.
Well, Sauron rules Mordor, so we don't go near Mordor. A buddy of mine found a ring, and I told him to fuck off.
Yeah, just get an eagle to take it. Leave me alone.
Exactly. I know where this goes. See,
nerdy. England is a relatively tiny nation. That's why you had to go and take over other countries to prove how big your dick was.
And we are the fattest country. I'm proud of that. And I am going to die of something I smoked, drank, or ate. That's just the way it is here. No, but who did I say that to the other day when I told them, like, yeah, I drive to Vegas, and it was Noodle. They were shocked that I would drive 234 miles to Campbell, but to me, that's nothing to drive that far.
That's still in your neighborhood.
I love driving. I love getting in my car. I love getting like some fast food that I don't eat every day. I love smoking in my car. Like, I love the adventure of driving, finding some weird station. Like, and I always end up listening to NPR. Like, I love driving. So it feels like nothing when I drive to Vegas.
Yeah, I know a lot of people do, but I don't. Driving is something that I have to do. It's not something I at all enjoy.
So here's my spiel, because I said this yesterday. If it was up to me, I would get rid of all cars. But my beef is the heavy traffic, where it takes me 45 minutes to go on a 10-minute trip.
Yeah. Well, I think, seriously, the U.S. is really screwed up in the way that it's set up that basically everyone is required to have a car.
Or our public.
yeah, we don't give any priority to developing public transportation, and we've destroyed what we had of intercity rail decades ago. You know, so it's like, yeah, if you don't have a car, you just can't get much of anywhere.
Hey man, you're just some fucking communist liberal who's just putting down America.
No, I'm not. I'm not communist. I'm socialist. Get it right already.
Hey,
Damn right.
hey, go back where you came from. Hey,
Yeah, go back where I came from. Yeah, my family's lived 4 generations within 300 miles of here.
When I lived in Oregon, I worked at a fast food restaurant, and I stopped speaking English for a while. And there was a man who absolutely hated us, and I don't think it had anything to do with. He just hated us, and he would always tell. He was a morbidly obese man, so I left him alone because I felt bad. But he would always tell me, "Get out of my country. You don't belong in my country." And one day I looked at him and I was like, just because you think California is a foreign country doesn't mean that it is. People on the bus started clapping because I finally told the guy, like, I'm from here too. Shut up. That's not an insult when someone tells me to go back where I'm from. I'm like, okay, it's sunny in California. I will. Stool says France is 20 miles away. That's like, Alexa, how far is Cuba from Key West, Florida?
90 miles.
From Key West, Cuba is 104.6 miles away.
Wow, that's close. That's Sarah Palin close. You see that from your house. I'm serious. You know, it's funny, but it's true. She's such a dummy. I love her for being a dummy. She makes Californians look smart. Oh, she's such a dummy.
What did Alexa say? I couldn't hear her.
104 miles.
Oh, okay.
That's close.
So it's about the width of the widest point of Lake Michigan.
to an American, that's down the street, you know. I drive, you know, when I drive to Vegas, I drive through the Mojave Desert, and the Mojave, like, you're out in the middle of nowhere for 200 something miles.
Why don't they just build a bridge from Mexico to America?
We actually have several. The Border Patrol are guarding them. There's a place on the 8 freeway that's no man's zone. It's not America and it's not Mexico, but it's patrolled by the U.S. Border Patrol. And there's a weird bridge that connects Arizona, California, and Mexico.
Oh.
It's on the 8 freeway if you're coming south from Arizona off the 10 freeway.
Oh.
And Yuma, Arizona is still the official butthole of America. I will fight you on that. DM me at Godless Sewing.
So it starts in Arizona and goes to California?
Are you talking about America's butthole? Well, it goes from San Bernardino County all the way to Texas.
Oh, okay. So it's kind of a bridge to nowhere.
Yeah. What happened is they built it for the truckers. So it's a super highway where they can basically bypass most cars, and you're out in the middle of nowhere. But, you know, tourists and like, if you know that road, the only thing you have to deal with is the Border Patrol.
And they don't stop white people, I'm sure.
Oh, they do. That's one thing. They are extremely indiscriminate. If you are white, they'll stop you because they're assuming that you're moving drugs. Because that's what the cartels did, is they got every blonde-haired, blue-eyed white kid they could give $20,000 to make, you know, more money in 10 minutes than they'll make in a year, you know.
Yep.
And so that, like, it's kind of a joke. Well, they'll wave someone like me right past, and I could have a trunk full of inhalers and aspirin, and they wouldn't care. But when they see a blonde-haired, blue-eyed person, they stop them and search their whole car.
Well, that's not fair.
Ah,
The
life's
land
not
of capitalism. This is land of capitalism. They should reward the kid for trying to, be an independent merchant.
Don't you love stereotypes?
Yeah, jeez.
Well, what happened is there the cartels, they stopped using their own people and they started using kids from colleges, and these kids were volunteering. So the cops cracked down, and they're not joking.
Well, see, then the cartels should be given an award for employing college students.
Hey, it's a scholarship program, right?
Yeah, reduce the burden of college expense for these families.
Hey, out here there are literally women stripping to put themselves through college. So if you want to be a drug dealer, I'm not going to judge.
I think that goes on everywhere. I've known a couple of women who put themselves through college that way.
Exactly.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, hell, I would have done it if anybody would have paid to see it.
Hey,
I had a friend who was a 4-year graduate registered nurse who was stripping to earn money to get her master's. Yes, because the stripping paid at the time. The stripping paid better than nursing. Nursing is much better paid now, but it wasn't then.
I see. That's sad. That's like when one of my son's old teachers. I went to Denny's at like 2 a.m. and she was my server, and she was quite literally one of my son's teachers. Like, we don't pay people enough to live at all in this country. And
I was going to say nursing still doesn't pay crap for what they're expected to do.
I know this is going to be controversial, but I'm kind of tired of talking about race. So we could talk about the socioeconomic drum that is beating us all. We are all socioeconomics are funny in this country. How someone can have, quote unquote, a good job and not make it, and not be able to afford to live in a decent place or afford to live in a place by themselves.
Well, I question sometimes. I believe it's pretty much that anywhere in the world, people have to have roommates. Now, I'm not saying that's good or bad, but I'm just saying that seems to be the way it is. That families have to live together, generations of people have to live together, or people live with, all the sons of a family, or all the daughters of a family, all the siblings of a family live together. Or in other countries, like Britain and stuff, roommates. Everybody has roommates. In America, we expect that to not have to be. Just because it was for a period of time.
I agree with you.
That's true. People in the U.S. do have very different expectations.
But do you think it's because we have a 1950s, keep going up view on what America is supposed to be? I saw on AMC a commercial for 1950s San Fernando Valley. And it was like, come on down to the beautiful San Fernando Valley. It talked in the suburbs of Los Angeles. It was gorgeous. Now, that same area is one of the most dangerous places in America.
Yeah, well, people don't realize that Hollywood actually started out as being a planned housing community.
Oh, wow.
My
that's all it was. It was a pre-planned suburb. That they were trying to sell it as being, the affluent neighborhood that you made it if you've got a house here.
My parents lived in one of the federal experiments for those planned project communities, Greendale, Wisconsin, which still exists, and most of the original homes that were built in the 30s and 40s and stuff are still there.
Here too, it's people built things to last back then.
Oh yeah, these things are all cinder block.
They're still standing here too. We have a whole district where you're not allowed to gentrify because they're the original houses of, well, when we say original, like 1910s, 1920s, around there.
Yeah, well, another thing about American expectations is, not just as far as people living alone, but also just the size of our places. That what's considered a small apartment in the U.S. is much larger than anything like in Europe, or especially like if you look at Japan
or New York.
No, I run into that all the time because people ask me, they're like, you live in an apartment? And I'm like, no, I live in a house, thinking that everybody else lives in a house when they don't. You know, I fall in
yeah,
that
but
because most people I know live in a house or live with their parents in their house.
well, what about the UK people? You know, what's like a standard size apartment in the UK?
Ooh,
You know, because in the US, people consider, you know, even like 500 feet to be a small apartment.
exactly.
You know, and that's, you know, even for me, it's like I've tended to live in what's considered small apartments in the US, and I'm constantly seeing, you know, people showing like their walk-in closets, which are bigger than the bedroom in most apartments I've lived in.
Okay, so
the
to be
thing
fair,
is, in the UK, you know, an apartment feels bigger because everybody from the UK is really pretty much just a hump-shouldered little midget like stool.
exactly, and you know what, I'm gonna say something also. They have more communal living. Well, they'll have a house and then people are living in the rooms. We don't have that here. We don't have, like, it's not looked upon. I stayed with a family who was living with another family, and the house was big enough that they all could live in peace. They just had to share the garden, you know. In America,
the thing is the
I'm
British
so
have a
spoiled.
lot of gardens because they still haven't learned about refrigeration.
Okay, so Harmonica Man's house is about the size of my apartment.
Alexa, what's the average size of a UK flat?
I don't know that one.
I know, because we're American and you're an American too, Alexa. Thank you.
Is Stool still in the chat?
I think so. He hasn't commented in a little bit.
And in no way am I trying to condemn or talk trash about the way people live in the UK. I've been there. I kind of miss it sometimes. My whole point is that in America we are Texas-sized, and we don't even realize how Texas-sized we are. Like the condos here, like our condos would be considered houses in the UK.
Well, my parents bought a basic, I'll say suburban, but it was actually within the city limits of Milwaukee. But it was in the new developing right next to the suburbs. They bought this tract home back in 63, 64. They set the deal. It built it from the ground up. And I think it was around 1,500, 1,800 square feet. And that was considered a good-sized family home. It was 3 bedrooms, living room, dining room, kitchen, a bath and a half, plus an actual real-life basement on about a third of an acre of land.
I'm spoiled because I grew up in a family that had over 200 acres, and so I try to keep my mouth. I'm going to keep my mouth shut on this one.
Yeah, my ex and I were raising 3 teenagers in a 2-bedroom house that had a total of 530 square feet, including the basement.
Wow! Did you turn the basement into a?
Oh yeah, the basement became a bedroom for 2 of them. You know, we had to.
Of course. And that's another thing. Talking to people online, I remind myself that I'm a fortunate human being, so I have to keep my mouth shut sometimes. But I also don't feel like survivor's guilt. But I also realize that we all live different lives. And to be fair, my walk-in closet is a bedroom. I just converted the middle bedroom into a walk-in closet.
Well, I was definitely envious what you're showing off your shop, because, you know, I would just love to have a workspace that I could, you know, have my tools set up and be able to move things around. And
That's
At
so.
this point, it's like all my tools are in a closet, and I had to have to drag them outside to do anything.
That's the one thing I love about my shop is that I could.
Freezing to death,
What was that, Jay?
or just work in a garage without freezing to death.
Yeah, well, I would love to just have a garage.
Mine, I'm sitting in mine because I gave my son the entire house. So I turned this room into my pleasure room, where it's basically all video, Nintendo 64, a Sega, and a bunch of screens.
Your pleasure, den.
Come to my pleasure room. It's literally me knitting and sewing in here. My sewing machine's on the other side, where I can skulk over it and stand over it.
Well, and then again, you're in California, so as opposed to what Jenny was saying about freezing to death in the garage, it's like, yeah, does the temperature ever get below 50 degrees there?
It does, and it feels like we all want to run and move away when it does.
Yeah.
Let's
you know, whereas I'm, you know, I'm with Jenny there that when I had a garage, it was like, yeah, working outside in the winter could be below zero.
That's insane to me. That was the reason we're not having this conversation in Alaska. I wanted to live in Alaska so bad, and then I went there and realized I wouldn't survive the winter. It had nothing to do with the snow. I just would have went crazy.
Wow.
Okay, Nerdy Rodent says 1,740 square feet is apparently the average. So average for, was that a house in the UK? I guess I'm waiting for a second part for that.
Boy, I just realized I have an old oil change sticker in my car. And according to this, I have gone only 7,000 miles in 2 years.
Yeah, I know what you mean. That they always push the thing of an oil change, you know, every 3 months or 3,000 miles, and I virtually never put on more than 5,000 miles in a year.
Depending on where I'm going, I get my oil changed. Like if I'm going to take a trip or something.
Oh, absolutely.
I usually do it myself. But see, it's different. Like on my Ford Flex, I have no idea what I'm doing. They made it so complicated that you need a computer and like 6 months at their trade school, you know. But on my trucks, I can literally change the oil in my sleep.
Literally? I don't believe you.
I live in a perpetual state of sleep.
Well, see, this is why my favorite car is the Citroen deux Chevaux, because it was part of the design criteria that it should be maintained by a farmer out in the field with a kit of 5 tools that came in the car.
Oh, that's awesome.
The Quonset hut on wheels.
Yeah, but see, I want practical and simple. I want something I can work on. That's also why I like the Geo Metro. It was a 1992 Geo Metro, but if you opened it up, the engine looked like something from the 70s. There were no electronics. It had a carburetor.
That's why I love my trucks, because I know how to fix them. I know exactly what to do. If I hear a ping or something's out of place, I know what's wrong with it. If I hear, you know, if there's a or, you know, if it starts acting weird, I know my Flex makes it makes one wrong move. I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah,
with it.
well, cars are not my thing at all. That, yeah, I can repair anything in a house. You know,
I had a weird experience. We'll change the topic a little bit because it revolves around cars. I had a weird experience the other day in my hometown. Now, for those of you who don't know, I live in a small town of 900 people. I've only lived there about 5 years now. So I'm the new immigrant to town. I went into the local convenience store gas station, a BP at the end, literally at the end of town. The border is 10 feet away, and one of the guys who lives in town, I don't know his name, but I certainly know his face. He looks at me and he says, "Oh, you know, I'm getting out of my car," and he says, "Oh, you got that battery that you needed." Well, how does this guy know I needed a battery a year ago? You know, it was, you know, like people in town talk, and so we figured out that I needed a battery and an alternator, and it was a topic of conversation in town. It's like the new kid needed car work, you know, kind of thing.
So I kind of had a similar experience. The first time, no one knew my name. No one knew my name at all, and I told Jen my real name. I told her, you know, we told each other all our personal stuff because we like each other. and I made a comment on a Midday America stream, and you were like, "Hey, William, why don't you jump in?" I literally felt like I was in Bizarro. I was like, they talk about me? They really talk about me. How does Jenny know my name? They actually talk. It like dawned on me that people talk about each other, you know? So I know what you're saying. Like I was
well,
like,
I've noticed that in the internet community, you know, and I picked that up sometimes about like watching somebody's live stream a day or two later and realize that, oh yeah, they talked about me in there.
Yeah, exactly. I always shill for you. So don't be shocked. I always shill. So if you're watching something, don't be shocked if you hear me say your name. I even said that you should be the next host of Jeopardy in Neil's stream, Purple. with the and we could get you a whole new mask too.
The whole point of the mask is I made it myself.
We can make you a whole. I'm DIY everything. Hey,
well, yeah, I'm surprised you don't have a 3D printer for making your own parts.
So a 3D printer is right along with a full embroidery machine. When I can find one that's less than like the cost of 4 of my cars, I can't justify spending that much money.
They've come down quite a bit. You can actually get fairly capable ones for under $500 now.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I'm just also scared because I don't want my son to start 3D printing weapons.
Yeah.
But I have a drill press, and so you know you could make anything with a drill press and proper steel and know-how, you know.
Well, the main thing with 3D printing is it's you know, it gives you good precision for making smaller items.
I really want to get an embroidery machine, but it would be for like 100% selfish reasons. So that's the only reason I haven't like started saving for one, because they're so expensive and I can't justify it in today's world.
Yeah, it's something that Sloth Girl has always dreamed about, but the same. Can't justify the money for it.
Yeah, it is quite literally like because there's a lot of things that I do by hand that if you had an embroidery machine, you program it in and you watch it and you watch it do it, you know. But I'm thinking about just making emulsion boxes and start printing like old school 1970 t-shirts. I might make a video about that. I need to write that down. That is actually a good idea. And I'll show people how to properly mix the chemicals and not kill every brain cell in their body.
Are you talking about a silk screening machine?
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
my brother had a silk screener once.
But it's just a box that you make, and like it's you know, it's old school style, how they used to make the old trucker tees back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you make the box accurately enough, you can do multiple color and all kinds of cool stuff.
Yep.
I actually had a good friend who is now a graphic designer. he taught me how to do it. Gosh, 20 years ago. And then when I came back from my adventures, he taught me again. I don't know, 10 years ago. I don't know. I still have one of the boxes in my shop.
Back in the hippie days, we wanted to make some money for an organization we were trying to get going, and we made our own. We made a gross of t-shirts, sold them for like $8 a piece, and just made a huge amount of money.
I love that. See, that's awesome. I love stuff like that. I'm all about, DIY, do it yourself. Even like, I don't know. I'm all about recycling everything, but I'm one of those people who, as a hobby, I'm a picker. So I'm biased when it comes to, recycling.
Oh yeah, well,
and I honestly feel like the way I live is how people will be forced to live like 100, not 100, like 50 years from now. Like, oh, there's a hole in your jeans, patch it up because we no longer have the resources or everyone's gonna learn how to sew.
Yeah, for me, it's always been a matter of survival to just scavenge everything. It's like, I don't throw anything away, take it apart for the components.
Well, you have a Singer treadle type machine, don't you?
Yeah, I have I have like 6 sewing machines, but the main one I use is a Husqvarna.
Well, I was just thinking of you having a treadle machine as appealing to your prepper instinct.
Yeah, having a non-electric.
I do. It's more of a nerdy. I'm such a loudmouth. If I had a TARDIS, everyone would know because I would troll everybody. I'd be flying in my blue box, be like, ha, ha, ha.
That was Microraptor. It said about the blue police box.
Oh, sorry, Microraptor. I have my glasses on. And hi, Microraptor. But I have one that's an antique. And so it's in storage, like with a UD sign on it, which means you touch, you die.
I actually learned to sew on a treadle machine.
Yeah, those treadle machines are almost worthless. You know that, don't you?
It's more sentiment to me. It reminds me of my father and my grandmother.
Okay. And
like my son breaks things, and so I put it in storage because as a parent I don't care, but if my son broke that, I would be conflicted. I would be heavily conflicted. And I'll tell you why. It's because I have hardcore ties to my family past. Like in my house right now, I have a table from my Aunt Teresa that sat in her house in 1910s Los Angeles. And it just got passed from family member to family member, and I made sure that it ended up with me. And it's still, the color is still on it. It's old. You can tell it's old, but it's well made because it's still, you can still see the top designs that were hand painted and everything. It's a work of art, and it's from the 1910s.
That's one of the things I really like to see is those old antique kitchen tables and stuff that had hand painting, basically like pinstriping, like we do to a car.
Yes. Yes.
On a kitchen table, it was beautiful.
Junie, I'm a collector. I collect oddities and weird stuff. Like there's stuff I have. I honestly don't even know what they are. Is my egg in here? I have this thing. I looked it up. They're woo dogs. I'll go get it. It's actually artwork. If I break it, you guys, it'll be live on YouTube and it'll be really embarrassing and awesome. You'll get more views.
Well, the thing to get more views is always boobies. So
boobies? What?
Boobies. Boobs. Like you did a nice shot on Twitter there
Hey,
with your bear stuffed in the cleavage.
hey, come on. The reason I sent it as a DM, you know?
Well, hey, you're wanting to get dates. That's the way to do it.
No, I'm not going to post that on the internet. Yeah, that's the way to get dates on. Here, I'm having an affair with a stuffed toy I found in a parking lot.
Well, if you picked him up in a parking lot, I guess that does count as dogging.
I slept really, really good last night.
So does this count as dogging? I'm kidding.
Well,
this is real. Hold on. Oh, you can't see the Hong Kong stamp on it because you can. But these are woo dogs. And I went to get this appraised, and the person looked at me and was like, "Are you serious? Why are you walking around with this?" So apparently this is worth a lot of money, and it's something that I picked and I found. I have no idea what it is. I have absolutely. And I have an egg as well. That is sounds like I'm gonna I have an egg as well that is older. It's older than anything in this house. And boobies are amazing. I like the blue-footed ones. And there is red-footed boobies as well.
Okay, Microraptor's asking what the scenery is here.
Awesome.
So, Jenny, you want to describe the river there?
This is just a small bay in the backwaters of the Black River, just before its confluence with the Mississippi. This is at a public area which is called Eagle Watch, and it's called that because these trees all around tend to be very attractive to eagles in the migratory times of the year. And you'll come here in the fall and spring and see 40, 50, 60 eagles all at once. And in the winter,
Well, I know the eagles are always very fond of the river just because they do like fishing.
Yeah. Well, and picking the bodies, you know.
Yeah. Well,
eagles,
yeah, they'll scavenge for the easy meal.
Yeah. People don't realize that eagles are scavengers.
Well, you know, pretty much any predator is not going to turn away a free lunch.
That's true, but I've always wondered, why do animals not get sick and die when they eat meat from a dead deer that's been there for a month?
Well, pretty much it has to do with the digestive system. And you know, most people think like the stomach is to break down your food. No. Actually, more than anything, the stomach acid is to kind of disinfect the food before it gets into your intestine. The acid is mostly to kill off any of the bacteria that's in the food. Stool's got it. I like how Will says picked rather than stole from the neighbors.
We used to call furnishing your house that way early alley.
Don't announce you're going on vacation on Facebook. Ooh, Jenny, I found 2 old cameras that I haven't shown you yet.
Oh, well, let me turn the camera around so I can see the screen
here. They're not that old. They're not like the box ones, but this is a Canon.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I have
a rangefinder.
I'm going to open up a museum one day.
That's going to be 35 millimeter, and it's going to take beautiful, sharp images.
And this is a Nikon because I have a Nikon obsession.
Let me see the top of it. Okay, so that's a fixed. Appears to be a fixed prism.
Oh.
Yeah, that should also take really nice stuff. If assuming the light meter still works, you can use it without the light meter. You just, they used to make light meters with selenium cells, and those things would wear out over time.
One day I'm gonna put.
Okay, so
all my
how much
cameras-
more does the one without the light meter weigh?
They're both, man. These are bricks. Both of these are bricks. You can work out with these.
So do you have one of the classic Kodak Brownies?
Yes, but you want to see something? Wow, around here, Brownie means something else, completely different. But I have. Oh, where is it? Oh, where did it go?
Oh.
I don't even want to bring it up if I can't find it. Oh, here it is.
Okay, Jenny, here's Junie was saying about
I'm such a hoarder that I couldn't find those.
Junie was saying about them scavenging old meat.
So you guys ready? Oof.
Oh, okay. That's one of the last Polaroids ever made.
And it's like, I'm dying. What are you doing?
When that Polaroid SX70 came out, that was a pretty impressive little camera.
Oh, it's awesome. And the funny thing is that it still works. This thing still works. Isaiah took a picture of himself recently.
Yeah, I've still got a couple of Polaroids around in my stuff in storage, but
the Fuji Film Company, a number of years back, started to reproduce and make available film packs for those older Polaroids like that.
okay, that was my question. Was I didn't know where I could find film for them anymore.
So I'm a nerd, and I
can find them online.
I put spy camera. I put a spy camera on this. So I have a couple of these, and because I have a bunch of spy cams, I play with electronics. I'm a technosexual. I love to have fun. Building.
Yeah, well, the Polaroids were really popular, before all the digital photography came out, because they were a good way for people to make their own porn. Because sometimes if you took it to be developed, you didn't get it back.
One of the more popular things that we sold in the camera store I worked at in the early 70s when that Polaroid came out was a close-up set for duplicating photographs.
Yep.
So
what Casey says that the film packs don't age well, the chemicals break down. So
film emulsion does lose its sensitivity. Over time, you have to modify developers and things to encourage images to still come out.
Well, like the Polaroids, where you couldn't really adjust that stuff.
No, there was no adjustments whatsoever.
Yeah, and especially that they tended to be temperature sensitive. So if the film packs were stored somewhere that they got too hot, the chemicals would break down.
Yep. Well, a lot of times they would dry out just because the seals on the chemical packs in the film would perforate and dry out and stuff like that.
Yeah, even a little pinhole in them and they dehydrate.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
That's like a Polaroid,
or not dehydrate, but they would. The emulsions would evaporate very quickly at room temperature.
You guys want to see a classic? Look at that, 4 gigabytes.
The Polaroid SX70 film, it's got that wide tab on the bottom. That's where all the chemicals are stored.
Well,
you cut that off to make it into a square instead of rectangle.
You guys let's check my temperature.
You've now exposed the emulsion to air, and it will dry up and go away.
Well,
that 4 gigabyte thing was nothing. I have memory cards for my old camera that are like 16 megabytes.
Oh, do you know, at my parents' house, I'm still looking for the old AOL mailers. I want those when you get like 5 hours for free, 10 hours for free. I'm going to frame one. I know my mom still has one because my dad was a real life hoarder. I know she still has one in her house.
Greg's broadcasting your location so people know where to go.
Like I said during the gun control stream, you guys are all invited, but you better hope I really like you. Oh, for people who leave dick pics in the locker room.
Yeah, I just saw that.
Junie, I think Junie's in a lag again. We have to warn her.
Well, there is some lag just to YouTube.
There was a heavy lag yesterday.
Yeah. Last night, when we were on Granny's stream, I noticed that was a serious problem with it. I mean, it was like 20 seconds at one point.
Oh, if you want to talk about a psychological case study, last night YouTube went down for about 45 minutes to an hour here in Los Angeles.
Mhm.
After Granny's stream, we just had spinning circles. It completely went out. And, you know, I wasn't the only person because I went on Twitter and I saw quite a few people. That's how I know that you live in my area. I won't dox you. But anyways.
No, I was having problems with YouTube here too.
Okay. My son went through full drug withdrawals without having YouTube.
Yep.
I watched him go through the full cycle of like, what? He went from like bewilderment to rage to hatred to acceptance back to rage.
Well, I remember, you know, there was a period over the winter where, you know, YouTube had gone down nationwide for like an hour.
Mhm.
And just, people were completely freaking out. It's like,
The suicide rate went up, and
The memes
and
were
I'm
amazing.
like, you know, I'm old enough to remember a time when we didn't have this.
So on the weekends, and see, the sad thing is I can't ditch my cell phone because I have real responsibilities, but I go hiking and I'll make sure my phone's at least on vibrate and I go as far as I can. So I'm out in the middle of nowhere because I feel like,
We know you've got two cell phones and there's a reason you keep one on vibrate so you can keep calling yourself.
Oh, I have a landline for that, and I put them both on each side.
why don't you just get one of the wireless vibrators? It's a lot more sanitary.
You know what? I want to tell you the honest truth. I don't have anything that I don't want to explain to my son. I'll leave it at that. Because he is so damn good at finding stuff. I had a wand massager, and it's the Sex and the City kind, not the like real dildo kind, like an actual like wand. It was this big though. And my son was like, "What's this old massager?" I said, "It's trash," and I threw it in the trash out of shame. So I have a rule now where I will not own anything that I cannot explain. But he's getting older now, and I have no filters. So, you know, don't ask me a direct question if you don't want the answer. Ooh, this camera, actually, if this camera behind me, let's see. If it's plugged in.
Which camera?
So I have a spy camera on the old school.
Whoop.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. So
I thought you were coming up with something.
that is a black and white camera. But it's a spy camera, and honestly, it has better resolution than most webcams, and it's built with the most simple technology.
Let me see.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's on right now. Like it's that screen, that bottom screen.
Oh, okay.
But I have it hooked up to an old school camera because the spy cams, those are old spy cams. They're boxes. They're small little boxes. Now they're made even smaller. But Jenny dropped out. But I used to I have a huge amount of spy cams. We used to have them for the job, but then the technology got better.
I used to have an evil twin. I had to kill him. To this day, I still sometimes wonder if I made a mistake and shot the wrong one.
I always say I had a twin, and I'm the one who won out.
Remember, you guys? I don't know if you're old enough, Will, but purple should be in the back of what are the
comic books.
You know, where there'd be ads.
X-ray glasses.
People sold this miniature spy camera that was like 2-3 inches long, and took actual film that you could buy rolls of. And
Yep, I remember those ads.
So I got really disappointed that my X-ray vision glasses were just swirly lines on glasses. So when I was a little kid, I ordered from there like once and never again.
Okay, be right back.
Well, those cameras worked, and I had one.
I always wondered about that.
They were really, really awful resolution, but they did work. It was 16 millimeter film.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that was pretty nuts.
Back in the day, they actually gave kids like real toys with metal erector. I had a hand-me-down erector set, which was like 9 or 10 different erector sets. I could make anything. I could make dangerous stuff. Like, kids' toys were different back then, I think. Like, you had to think when you played with the toys.
Yeah, and I think an erector set or a Meccano in Europe is one of the best tools you can buy any kid, boy or girl, doesn't matter, for them to the mental exercise, of course, to actually visualize and build something and begin to understand structure and reinforcement and angles and physics and stuff. Just the manual dexterity it demands.
So still to this day, it basically taught me framing as a little kid and planning.
Sure.
And real life engineering. And still to this day, I laugh because I have a certain style when I'll put a building up, and I learned it from failing in my erector set a bunch. And I got it confirmed by Adam Savage, but that's a different story for a different day. But it's funny how the things you learn when you're a kid. Sloth Girl, I missed you. They used to sell chemistry sets with cyanide and mercury. Yep. There was a CSI. I have to look that up now because I saw it on a stream. There was the show CSI. They had a toy for kids, and in their fingerprint dust was asbestos. Oh. And they had to recall like 40,000 or some outrageous amount. Because they were poisoning children.
Cool.
And I don't know about anywhere else, but at our dollar stores, Junie just reminded me, they have to tell us what products have lead in them. So I turned a coffee cup over one time and it said this was made with lead. And I was like, it's a ceramic coffee cup. How the hell is that possible?
Hey, Stool.
They use lead for pigments and stuff in the glaze.
Yikes.
Yep.
They don't do that with ours, like with most stuff,
Not anymore.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. That is my entire point.
Yeah, the only reason they don't do it anymore is because killing off the people who buy your stuff means you don't get many repeat customers.
Yeah. The only company that's ever...
The population expands every year.
Exactly. Now we sound like the old school cigarette CEOs. Like we work at Marlboro. They got customers born I miss those old commercials. They have customers born every day.
Yeah, like Sloth Girl mentions that some of the chemistry sets from the 60s and 70s even had cyanide and mercury in them. And there was actually one science set they had that came with a bit of uranium, so you could do radiation experiments.
Hold on, Stool's here. We need a Union Jack for a big fat leg.
They might have been selling radium, but not uranium.
Okay, radium rather, yeah.
And radium is pretty damn toxic too, but not as bad as uranium.
Now, I could be quoting a bunch of over dramatic YouTubers, but I think it might be uranium. I watched this
Well,
this YouTuber, her name is Luxaria, and she talks about basically how toxic makeup was in the Victorian era, and she follows companies around and exposes them for the crap that they put in makeup.
Well, I think Jenny's right about it being radium, because the radium was also used in paints. That's how they had the glow in the dark watch faces. Is what was famous for.
Exactly.
So what's going on, Stool?
My parents bought me a microscope set. I was way into science as a kid, and I wanted a microscope, and they got me one. It was certainly a kid's unit, but it was pretty powerful for being a kid's unit. It had actual 3 lenses on a turret on it and stuff. And my mom worked at a local hospital, and she went up to the pathology department and asked them for sample slides for me to look at. So I got these actual real live medical quality slides to look at of all this human tissue and disease and fungus and all kinds of cool stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty neat. I was looking at brain cells in 5th grade.
Just we. Hi, Stool.
Oh, thank you. No, I'm not biting. I'm not biting.
How are you?
I'm just stopping by because I was looking at your camera porn, and I got a little bit excited, I have to admit.
I own 3 box cameras. I have even older cameras. I have a Bell Howell projector. I have all kinds of stuff. I'll do a tour one day.
Oh, you should, yeah.
If you're ever out there and you're West Coast, it's more likely you might run into one. And you find a rangefinder camera like that Canon you just showed us, except it was made by Nikon, and it looks real old. You fucking buy that for whatever you have to pay.
I do. I do. I'm a heartless, ruthless picker too. So if someone's like, "Oh, I'll sell this camera for $5," I'm like $450, even though I'm gonna make like $3-4 grand off of it.
Well, most used cameras don't have much value, and you got to be realistic about that.
No, mine are. My real plans were more for display.
Yeah.
But when you told me that one box camera I have is worth money, I will sell it because I am a heartless capitalist in that sense.
When I was restoring these 1950s Isetas, they're 56 to 62. I would go out and I would buy one specific old Kodak camera that always came with a flash unit attached, to put on the back deck of it as just an accent to the car, for have a camera of the same era sitting on the back shelf, just because it looked cool. And you could pay like $1, $2 for these things.
How's it? So, Stool Hub, how's it going?
How are you doing?
Oh, it's been a while. Hold on. How you doing? I don't know. Hold on. How you doing? It really has been a full year. I needed that stool. Thank you.
Sloth Girl found a link to an old kid's chemistry set that did have uranium in it.
That's what I'm saying. I watch all kinds of crazy stuff online.
That's amazing.
And we've been trying to kill each other for a long time.
Well, remember you used to go to a shoe store and get your feet x-rayed? The dose of x-ray was so fucking high, they finally pulled them off the market because it was killing people.
That's like old Geiger counters. Do you know what they tell us if we see an old Geiger counter? Run.
Well, and at one time they had x-ray machines in shoe stores, to x-ray people's feet.
That's what I just said.
Yeah. That actually, if you
at
ever
one
get
time
to Minnesota,
At one time in the past, they used to have X-ray machines in shoe stores, and they would X-ray your feet.
Yeah. If you ever get to Minnesota, the Science Museum has inherited the entire collection from the Museum of Questionable Medical Devices.
Oh, that sounds like a cool museum.
Oh, that
Yeah.
sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's got some interesting stuff in there.
Well, Stu, when you went and had your feet x-rayed like that, what did they find out about your brain?
Ah,
Sorry, that was too easy.
I can't remember that happening to me. It must have been before my time.
Nuke your feet for Buster Brown.
Well, no, actually, you don't remember it because they erased your brainwaves with it.
Yeah.
There, in photography, there used to be this brush for brushing dust off negatives. Dust in photography in the darkroom is your biggest number one enemy, almost as bad as having light in a darkroom. Dust, you fight the battle of dust forever.
Oh,
And
yeah.
they had this brush that would electrostatically charge the film to repel dust. Like just like when you rub a balloon on your hair or something like that to change
Yep.
the charge. Except they did it by having a sample of polonium in the brush. And so they were selling this polonium all over the fucking country in this brush. And it said, do not touch. But it never said, this is polonium, and if you get within 10 feet of it, you're going to die. Oh, man. No, it wasn't that bad, but polonium, oh, man.
Sorry.
Caution, proper use of this product may be fatal.
Throw them out. They're in landfills all over the country.
So if you ever get bored, type in radioactive America and you will see every place we've ever let off a nuke, and it's still letting out radiation to this very day.
Oh dear. I was just looking into the old foot X-ray machine. Apparently they were popular in the 1920s, Jenny. So there you go. Can you remember what they were called? Unfortunate name.
No, what were they called?
Nugas?
A pedoscope.
Oh, that's bad. Do you know what was that, Stool? Say that again. What was that?
No, I'm not saying it.
Put lait in front of it and we'll just call it French.
I have to go get a different line. Everybody's rubber banding here.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, I just canceled an appointment with the school because I had a meeting tomorrow morning at 8:15, but I actually have to do something for my job, so I won't be able to make it. And I'm kind of over the redundancy of these meetings anyways.
Yeah, just being a neglectful parent again. Blowing off all your obligations with the school.
Actually, they're happy that they're probably ecstatic that I backed off this meeting because I am a real life Karen and a real life flag shagger. And as a real life Karen and flag shagger, if you mess with me, I will make you regret it. So they're probably ecstatic that I chose to not go to this meeting.
Okay, first piece of metal in space was not a rocket. What was it?
Well, technically, there's a ton of metal floating around in space right now. Nickel pyrite burns blue when it hits the atmosphere. Like, there's a whole color chart for each metal. When it hits the atmosphere, it all burns a different color.
Well, yeah, different meteorites coming into the atmosphere.
It just depends. In a one-ton manhole cover that we used to cover in the underground nuclear test hole, the explosion was.
Okay. Do you need a note from Jenny explaining why you can't go to school?
So, no joke. I'm considering my son's 6th grade graduation. I consider it my 6th grade graduation because I'm the one that took him to school every day. I get up every morning to make sure he gets to that damn computer. I'm going to frame that paper.
Yeah. You know, for the original test of the atomic bomb, they had actually built a lead dome that was supposed to contain it, that they were going to set it off inside the dome. And somebody decided before the test that this would not be a good idea, so they never used it.
There's a documentary about there were 4 men who volunteered to stand under a nuke that was let off in the air. And they all died slowly, one by one, horribly. They are the reason we know what's going to happen when you get irradiated.
Well, the British just took a pragmatic approach to it and tested their nukes all over the reef in Australia.
Hey, we haven't done much better. We've turned certain islands, like if Godzilla's real, America created it.
Well, actually, that was the theme of the original lore.
Yeah.
The original Godzilla movie claimed that it was a result of the American nuclear testing.
You're making us sound like heathens here. I mean, to be fair, I think we did also send a bunch of soldiers to one of the remote Scottish islands once and made them get anthraxed to death. But
America does the same thing. We experiment. We don't tell the people. That's the worst part. They're like, oh, you're in the military, you're our property. Here, take this needle, take this drink, go stand over here.
Well, that's why we've got territories like Guam that people don't even realize are part of the U.S., although they have been since World War II.
So because I grew up in a Navy family, I know about all of those islands. They'd be surprised how many islands we have. And Teddy Roosevelt went out of his way to basically stop the British. That's why there's the U.S. Virgin Islands and there's the British Virgin Islands.
And ours are better.
I don't know how they can call them Virgin Islands when we've already screwed them over.
And pillaged everything. I actually have a friend from the Virgin Islands. He's a what do you call it? X-ray technician. To be even more ironic, he has an amazing accent, and everyone asks him if he's from Jamaica, and to the point where he'll tell people to F off because he's from the Virgin Islands. How's it going, Randolph? Yesterday we were talking about on Noodle's stream, we were talking about accents and how, like, here in Southern California, we have our own language called Spanglish, which if you're from Mexico, you would be like, what the hell are these idiots speaking? But in America, it's this melded Spanish and English. And no, Stu, it's not putting O at the end of everything.
But that's the proper way to British. You just shout very loudly and put O at the end of everything.
In America, that's just piss people off. That's a good way to get into a fist fight around here.
That's why the rest
probably
of
why
Europe,
the British do it. They like pissing people off.
that's why the rest of Europe loves us so much.
That is one thing. When I was in Amsterdam and I was telling people that I was going to end up in Wales, do you know what people would say to me? Why? Why? There's so many other interesting places to go. Why? I still had a great time. It was cold. I wore my coat the entire time and it was summer. And now I have a Midsummer Wine theme stuck in my head. I need to learn how to play that on the harmonica. It's such an easy. It's such a easy riff. I'm gonna practice that today.
I think you first need to learn how what it's called, the actual series.
Summer. I say that just to piss you off. Emu, Summers, wine, lady, camera. I love how my California English drives you crazy. If I, you'd have fun for about a week here, and then you spend the entire time correcting everybody on their English.
Yep.
You'd be like,
okay, and Tanner,
Wouldn't last
speaking
a
German
week.
isn't just speaking loud. German, everything has to be threatening and aggressive. In German, I love you sounds like a threat.
And Randy, that was a sad ploy and call for help. I'll send you the rift of Last of the Summer Wine. I'll send it to you.
Squirrels are behind most power outages in the U.S. Why? Because they get too tired to run the wheel anymore?
So squirrels, I will say, they are so unafraid of humans, it's almost intimidating. They're just cute rats. I hate squirrels. They are just cute rats.
They are basically rats with fuzzy tails. They're just, and that's why they've managed in the cities, because they're cute. So people don't try to exterminate them on a regular basis. But yeah, they cause an incredible amount of damage to everything.
They will walk up to children. We have to warn children here to not play with the squirrels because they'll walk right up to them. Our squirrels are gross. But I loved Rescue Rangers.
Well, and if you don't watch your children, they'll try to store them for the winter.
Yeah. Ew. Oh, Nerdy Rodent, I'm sorry. This is like the 9th time that you've canceled me this week. They are tree rats. They are. I'll tell you the real reason I don't like squirrels is because here they do that thing where they run in the road and they do a juke move. They run in the road and then they'll run back. They're a bit spastic. I would almost call them a spaz.
Oh, you can't do that word. You are so cancelled.
What is that? You know what?
I'm going to tell Jen what you just said because you're going to be in such big trouble. You can't say that word.
Yeah, for a lot of people, it's just a synonym for retarded.
Oh, see, in America, that means spastic.
Yeah, which comes from the same thing.
Well, I'm not letting people ruin words. You can't have everything, damn it. You can't cancel everything.
Yeah, well, spastic actually comes from, more like, an uncontrollable fit or even like an epileptic seizure.
Oh, well, that's just mean. Damn it. Yet another canceled word. I'll throw that next to my Pepe Le Pew shirt that I used to always wear.
It's one of those oldie fashioned proper medical terms that we just don't use anymore, Will.
Spastic.
You're so cancelled.
As a woke person, I need a list of what we can't say anymore.
Well, I'm not writing that.
I'm
list.
angry. I'm angry.
The correct medical terminology was spasticism.
Okay.
And it was, I think, it was big. I was going to say it was big in the 50s. I don't mean it was popular, but it was a proper medical thing. One of those things we don't use anymore. It's like the R word, I use that word on Twitter and you're in Twitmo.
I would. Actually, I would. I know someone who recently used it and they didn't get put in Twitmo.
Don't do it, because if somebody brasses you up, you will be sent to Twitmo for using that one. Which makes no sense to me, but
Mage Grey Wolf is hope.
Well, and the problem with cancel culture and with bots is some words like that, that even if you use them in their proper medical context, they still cancel you for it.
Like Mrs. Slocum's, huh? The P word that I'm not going to scream, that I used to
Yep.
scream.
Oh, so hang on a minute. So you won't say that word, but you'll happily sit there and call everyone a spastic. You are
Just
so
said it.
messed up.
You just said it.
I was using it in context.
Whatever.
Your mind is so messed up, Will. You've got your priorities wrong.
I do. I really do. I drive on the wrong side of the road here. I push at pull doors. My priorities are all over the place.
Oh.
Oh, I suck.
Oh.
Scunthorpe. I'm not sure what that is.
Scunthorpe. It's a town in the UK.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
But
is
if you
that
look-
like Tits,
if you-
Oregon, or Lake Titicaca, Mexico?
Yeah. But on that particular word that I forget who used it, but letters 2, 3, and 4. There you go. Within that word.
There's a real place called Tits, Oregon, and I always ask the A word on my desk, where is it? And they tell me the county because Alexa doesn't want to say thank you, doesn't want to say the word.
You
So-
should ask her about a couple of the places near where I live.
You want me to? You've been fully doxxed already. I don't want to continue the doxing.
I know. I've no secrets. No,
Alexa,
but I do.
what time is it in Bolton, Alexa? What time is it in Bolton, UK?
In Bolton, it's 7:23 p.m.
Do you ever sleep? Do
Seven-
you?
It's 7:30 p.m. Will.
No, I know, but you're up. Like, the reason I said that is because you're up during like America time.
Okay.
So you stream at like 2, 3 in the morning then.
Yeah.
So
Stool is always online. Sometimes he falls asleep during a stream, and then he comes to an hour later and sees what stream is live again.
This is true.
No, because that my first thought was like, wait a minute, because Stool will come on my stream at like 7 o'clock at night my time. So that means you're a vampire, and you're just you just go in a closet and get recharged. Oh, what a
There's
great show! Small Wonder,
there's-
look it up.
there's
Great show.
A place near me called Knob End. Now, this is how infantile I am, because when I was working at a place, whenever, every time the buzz went past it, I would tell everyone on Facebook that I was at Knob End, and that's just how juvenile I am.
That's okay. We have a Stoner Street here, and all the street signs are double reinforced because people cannot stop stealing the street signs. And High Street. I know there's a High Street in every town in the Western world. Those signs get stolen all the time. No, I would never besmirch my A word with porn. My A word is fully for surveillance and asking extremely obvious questions that I'm too lazy to get up and look myself.
Okay, started by making fun about how Native Americans. I'm sure he meant naive.
Oh, that's like I didn't realize forever. Instead of spelling theoretically, I was spelling theoretically. And I didn't even realize it. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Americans are dumbasses. And I was tagging them every time. And one day they were like, Will, check your spelling. Every time I put rectically. So I apologize, Theo, for when you're watching this later.
Okay, new view of the river.
I lost my cell signal. I had no bars.
Oh wow,
Just went goofy, and now I'm back to 2 bars.
that's weird. You have a great picture.
Oh, good.
Now I have Creedence Clearwater stuck in my head.
Do, Lord, whatever. I never liked Creedence that much. I know they're really a big hit and everything, but I hated that guy's voice.
You know, the one band I really got into that they were all past by the time well, not all of them. I actually meant the piano player. Were the Doors. I was obsessed with the Doors.
You met Ray Manzarek.
Yes, he actually did piano for a lot of Native American music. Got really into the scene, and I know someone who owns a record company, which basically this particular person, they're ruthless because they bought the rights to the company and they basically own most Native American music in America. It's called Canyon Records.
Really?
But yeah, he played with Robert Tree Cody.
I think they used to be one of Joni Mitchell's labels.
I know the person who bought them out, so I wouldn't be surprised. And when I say bought them out, I mean bought them out like 30 years ago.
Yeah, we should have Ox in here for that discussion.
But I
know that is a real thing about companies, buying the rights to it to the point that some tribes can't use their traditional music in ceremonies.
Exactly. And so basically they have to ask permission to, not necessarily ask permission, but if they play like a if they play anything with a stamp on it, they have to ask him for permission. If it
winds up being broadcast over radio or a TV station, they can get in trouble for it.
And that's why I say that he in one way he was a genius because he cornered the market. In another, but let's be real, the record industry in general is ruthless. I am obsessed with 90s hip hop. There's a ton of guys that are like, hey, we got ripped off. And I'm still listening to their music, and there's guys who should be millionaires that are living in an apartment, didn't make any money,
Yeah, the promoters really got most of it, and the artists didn't get very much for their own work.
Snoop Dogg signed a 20-album contract with Suge Knight, and he has an album called Last Meal. That was the first album he started making money off of.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's why Snoop is still working, because he got ripped off by Suge Knight. Suge Knight owns all his early stuff.
I've heard many times, if you're a new artist, do not sign with a label for more than 2 albums.
Mm-hmm. Because they own you.
That's what happened to Taylor Swift.
Prince.
She just got owned for all her early stuff. But now she was smart enough to hang on to some particular right, I don't know what it's called, that allows her now to re-record all of it. And the people who bought the rights to her stuff basically can't use any of it because of the one right that she still has.
Good.
So she's able to fuck them right back. Yeah, she was a smart kid.
I feel sorry. Yeah. Like Snoop Dogg is not a rare story. He was a young kid and someone was like, hey, I'll make you rich. Here's $500,000. And then Suge Knight made $500 million.
Yeah. Well, U.S. copyright law is messed up in so many ways.
I don't even understand them anymore. And I'll tell you why. So I looked it up and I was told that I can post a picture of Humphrey Bogart for tomorrow's sewing stream. I looked it up. I did a bunch of, YouTube research. I posted the picture of Humphrey Bogart right at the scene where he's like, of all the bars in the world, and they wouldn't let me post it on YouTube. So I have Kermit the Frog sipping Lipton tea for some reason. It is acceptable, but Humphrey Bogart is not.
I think the difference is that you took an image from a specific movie whereas the Kermit meme, is like a composite image from more than one thing.
True.
So the bots don't recognize it.
The Kermit thing is an advertisement.
Oh,
Well,
was that?
It was.
They've been drinking Lipton tea. That's an advertisement.
Oh, I didn't remember them doing the tea.
I'm changing positions. Sorry.
I got vertigo.
But actually, the Muppets' first appearance on television was making coffee commercials.
I miss the Muppets, even though I see them every day. Called People.
Yeah, it keeps throwing me when the Brit people say Muppets that they mean something completely different.
It's changed the word for me, to tell you the honest truth. I don't look at the word Muppet the same at all anymore.
Yeah, that kind of sucks considering they use the word Muppet as we know it to become the slang that they use it as.
For me, it was a bunch of cuddly characters.
Yeah. Well, those British, they want to control the
to
world.
be fair, I think that the Brits were using it as a slang well before Jim Henson became popular.
Yeah, but Americans are isolated.
The word Muppet was coined by Jim Henson to indicate a blend between a human and a puppet.
Right. But I think that the Brits were using it in their way, basically as a derogatory term for poor children before that.
I'd have to say
that's a new one on me.
I don't
Oh,
that's true.
Okay, what? Stool?
I think you made that up, Purple.
Just remember.
Well, maybe I'm misunderstanding it.
You can't get your pudding if you don't eat your meat.
Pink Floyd, The Wall. No.
Oh no, you got it right. Don't doubt yourself.
I was baby animals instead. I really enjoy this cardio rehab I'm going to. On Monday, I just plugged in "Wish You Were Here" into the phone and just played it with my headphones on and just completely went away, went somewhere else during the whole workout. It was so nice.
So the word is mop it. See, I can't say I speak West Coast English. Mop it. Sounds the same word. Muppet. Mop it. Muppet. Same word.
Okay, yeah. I'm sure that's where I was getting it from. That's just a matter of the accent involved.
Exactly. Just like Stool always tells me that I'm pronouncing the Swan Man of Elkley wrong.
What?
What is it?
There's a town. It's called Elkley. Elkley.
Ilkley? What are you talking about?
There you go. It's Elkley. It's
I have
spelled,
no idea what you're talking about.
Spelled Ilkley.
Ilkley.
Yeah. Elkley.
Ilkley.
The Swan Man of Elkley.
Ilkley.
Elkley.
Ill.
Elkley.
Like you are ill.
Emu.
Camera woman. I told you it's my accent. I love how my accent pisses you off, Stool. I wake up and I'm like, what can I butcher today? What English word can I just absolutely destroy today?
California doesn't have accents. You just can't talk.
Elkley.
Ilkley. Yay.
Emu. Camera woman.
Ilkley. Emu. Muppet. TV.
I am so glad that
Elkley. Muppet. Emu.
What was that, Jenny?
I'm so glad that orange bastard is gone.
Yeah. Yeah, it does take a good amount to stress out that I don't have to wake up every morning to find out what he tweeted at 3 a.m.
Have you seen his new thing? You know, he was bragging about how he's going to make this super duper new social platform where free speech is allowed. Have you seen it?
Have you seen how the state of Arizona, which is all Republican, responded to Trump's lies?
Yeah, they finally had enough about the recount thing.
Do you know how much money they've wasted? How much time? And these are Republicans saying, hey, Joe Biden won, get over it. Hey, Theo.
Well, some of them are finally coming around to it, but at the same time, you know, they stripped Liz Cheney of all of her power in the party because she won't support the lie.
Which shows that they are complicit and they should all be tried for sedition and treason. Bring back the old laws.
Have you heard some of the shit that's coming up? You know, the hearings on the January 6th thing? Some of the Republicans saying things like that if you didn't know it was from January 6th, you would think it was a tourist group.
Yeah. Have you seen the photograph of one of the guys? I don't know his name, but one of the guys who's been saying that, i.e., it was just a bunch of tourists.
He's literally yelling with his hands out in complete and unadulterated fear.
Yeah.
Well, and
totally
also a picture of him
tourists.
helping pile furniture against the doors to barricade the doors.
With the look on that man's face, if he didn't pee his pants, I would have been shocked.
Yeah. You know, which is the thing I don't get. Why are you going into the hearing to defend people who were coming to kill you?
Because these people are so sick that they're towing this line. They're ill. I'm sorry.
It's a cult, and even though their cult leader is now no more, they just can't shake off that type of behavior where they have to lie about absolutely everything.
Let me tell you something. If you come to murder me, I will never defend you.
Okay, the one good thing that could come out of this is if they carry on with this for a year, they will basically destroy any chance the Republicans have of retaking the Senate in 2022.
The party is already fracturing. Yeah, I hope they completely...
That's what I mean, that if they split the party, then the Republicans aren't going to win any significant amount of seats in the next election.
Yeah, but do not underestimate the power of the states' gerrymandering and election manipulation.
Yeah.
No, Trump-proof propaganda works in how stupid the average American is. I said it. Godless sowing. You can come to my DMs and curse me out all you want. But the average American, you know...
Well, like Jenny says, that one of the things that we've got to hope that the courts will move fast enough to strike down some of these voter suppression laws before the next election.
And hey, where's the federal government with all these anti-people laws that we're putting out in general? Where's our federal government knocking them down? Because that's quite literally the entire point of the federal government.
Well, the problem is that even though the Republicans are now the minority in the Senate, you know, technically, the balance is so close that they can still prevent most things from going through.
I know, but like voter suppression laws, we have a federal government to... The whole point of them is to strike down these stupid laws.
Yeah.
If the 1950 racist guys can send the National Guard to make sure kids can go to school, they can make sure people can vote, you know? You just have to do it.
Sloth Girl saying here the legal defense for the QAnon shaman is he was retarded. Actually, it's worse than that. His lawyer's actual defense is saying that he has Asperger's and therefore he didn't understand the social implications of what he was doing.
All right, where is my soapbox and my high horse?
Yeah,
that
is an insult to everyone on the autistic spectrum.
As someone who's a parent of somebody who has an ASD child, people who has Asperger's know exactly what the hell they're doing. They know why. They're more calculated, and this isn't every case. But in my son's case, he quite literally remembers my my credit card information and my birth date and my mother's maiden name. If I told him to do something, he'll remember it. If he knows something's wrong, he knows it's wrong. That's not an excuse.
I find it quite disgusting. The one I read I think it was a couple of days ago, wasn't it? And they said his legal team were now going to use the excuse that shaman dude has autism.
Bullshit.
And yeah, I know. And I mean, that's sick. That is a very sick thing to do. To say, rather. But then again, I don't know. I'm going to get in trouble for this one, but it is the job of the sort of defense team to try anything.
Oh no, absolutely. Like I've been divorced. My ex-wife and I told so many lies. I'm proud of her. We told so many lies about each other. we would just go like this. So when you're in court, you try to one up. I get it.
Now that this is how I see it, and obviously I'm British, so I'm correct. But because because the orange thing got away with his ridiculous, ludicrous bullshit, he could say whatever he wants, and his base would just love it. Even if they knew damn well he was lying, they loved it. And so all the other so-called grown-ups on the Republican team just saw this and thought, hey, let's do the same. But now that the orange one is gone, they're either addicted to spreading ridiculous bullshit, and it is ridiculous, isn't it? It's not even clever bullshit.
But look at
they must surely think that core Republican supporter base must still fall for this crap. Otherwise, they wouldn't still be doing it, would they?
Look at Marjorie Greene Taylor, whatever her name is.
Yeah, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah, she's to me, she would fail a psychological.
Oh yeah, she's not well.
No, not at all. She would fail a test if you sat her down in your office and gave her the real psychological profile test. She would fail. She wouldn't pass at all.
There is no pass and fail on that. I'm sorry. I have to be
okay. Well, don't ever come across my desk. Don't ever come across my desk because people like me have say over people like that. My whole point is, she would be put in a home. She's not first off, she has the 1,000-yard stare. So she already looks like she's on drugs or coming off of drugs. She is utterly and completely false. What did she say yesterday? It was so bad I had to click off of it. It was on Twitter and they were showing her on she was talking about the rioters, the January 11th rioters. She was literally caping for them and making excuses. And then this moron was equivocating. And then she said, oh, but what about all the people that were burning America down? What about all the people that were rioting? She completely missed the fucking point. She completely missed the point of why those people were out there in the first place. You know,
a lot of these Republican people who spread this nonsense, they remind me of Scientologists in a way. It's almost like they've been indoctrinated with nonsense and they're addicted to it. And they just can't stop
those people
saying these ridiculous things.
Those people were out there protesting people like Marjorie Taylor Greene.
That's my exact point, though. That's my exact point. And that's why it just bothers me that she flips the narrative and tries to make herself innocent when she quite literally is the aggressor. And she encourages people, and she is quite literally in the middle of it, coordinating this. She's coordinating this and saying, I'm being attacked. I'm being, she's putting out signs saying there's only two genders. She's doing all these insane things. And she's saying that she's a victim. You don't have the right to be a crazy bigot. I'm sorry, you don't.
If you look at I can never get his surname correct. Is it Gates? Matt Gates.
Yeah.
I mean, if he was thinking correctly, he should just shut the fuck up now and stop tweeting. But
see, that's how arrogant they are.
But he doesn't, does he? He carries on with the nonsense.
No, he's got a huge ego. He thinks everything he says is correct.
But they think they're untouchable because they've been allowed to get away with this clown show. This is a circus. And so he's like, hey, I'm a part of this. I can do whatever I want. And unfortunately, they have been able, In any other circumstance, stool included, we would be held to the extent of the law if we were even accused. We would have to, in an American court, if it was the four of us, they would throw the book at us because we're not people of notoriety. The Republicans know that they have the judges, they have these idiots eating out of their trough, you know.
Well, and that's part of the real damage that Trump did that's going to take decades to recover from, is it's not just the Supreme Court, but it's how much he stacked all of the federal courts.
Oh, I saw that the other day. I knew how much he stacked, but it didn't dawn on me how much that he really stacked the courts, because I've been watching Brexit for the past 6 years.
Yeah, well, because nothing gets to the Supreme Court without going through like 3 levels of federal district courts.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's like there just has to be, you know, some right-wing judge in any of those 3, and the Supreme Court never gets to hear it.
That's why I keep hearing people saying that the judges, the Trump appointed judges ought to be really happy that the liberals don't believe in guns.
Mm-hmm.
Or that they're not willing to,
of course,
act like the.
I was wondering on the other side that since so many of them also don't believe in vaccinations or masks, you know, just, yeah, what happens if the COVID virus gets loose in their midst there?
So what's this new thing, this new link between idiots and proteins?
They think that you shed proteins and that these proteins will infect somebody who has not had the virus or somebody who has not had the immunization.
Whatever gets them to wear a mask, I'm okay with it.
Well, there's a certain amount of science truth behind it. You've heard of Jacob's Creutzfeldt's disease or mad cow disease,
of course,
chronic wasting disease. Those are all caused by a protein. Okay, prions, and proteins are, if they're an infectious kind of destructive protein, is virtually impossible to kill. And it is real that proteins can do terrible things to human populations.
Yeah. Well, and
this is one of okay. As far as I know, as proteins go, and I could be wrong.
Nerdy, you are hilarious.
Direct physical contact with an infected tissue to get them.
Yeah.
Or you need to consume that tissue, like in a deer. If you eat a deer that's infected, you could get it. If you eat a cow that's infected, you could get it.
Yeah, I think that's correct. That it basically has to be inhaled or ingested.
So I have someone, a good friend of mine I've known my entire life. She's a staunch Trumper. She still has a Trump bumper sticker and flag on her car to this day. And she recently told me in her best Valley Girl English, because we do speak a different language here in California, about this whole protein thing. And I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Her science was so jumbled that I was like, you're saying that wrong. I know you're saying that wrong.
Well, and that's part of it too, as far as some science behind it, that, you know, they're misinterpreting something they heard, because yes, the mRNA vaccines, the basics of it is that rather than it actually being a weakened virus, the vaccine is actually just the protein from the shell of the virus, so that your immune system will recognize that protein shell and react to it as an invader.
Have you seen the latest funny one from the anti-maskers in your country?
No.
Who was saying that now that your CDC people have said, hey, you don't have to wear your masks, the weirdos are saying, well, I'm going to wear a mask because I'm not going to be told what to do.
Yeah, that too. That's pissed me off too. I don't get people.
What was Jenny trying to say there?
Well, I was just going to make the comment that if if you're going to catch a protein disorder from somebody who is, quote, shedding, you're either going to have to be wallowing in their blood or dancing in their shit. Okay?
Well, there you go.
You're not going to get it by walking next to them in a store or a coffee shop.
Is this the thing that they're calling shedding?
Yes. Shedding is just the term given to a disease particle moving out of a cell and into another cell or into the environment. Shedding is what cells do.
But they're thinking that it means little bits of COVID are going to fall off you and land on them.
Yep.
Yeah, they're thinking about dogs shedding, and it's not.
Okay, I've been saying this a lot lately. You have to take pity on Americans because most Americans think Joan of Arc was Noah's wife.
Hey, you know, at one time,
Really?
I would have agreed with you.
It's a very funny comedian. Her name is Kate Smurthwaite. She has a YouTube channel. I obsessively watch her. She's the first person I heard say the words, "I'm an atheist." She's a talking head on UK television. She subscribed to me on Twitter, and that's her joke. She's an amazing human being, and she does Rebel Media. You should check her out on the tube.
Oh, did you just say Rebel Media?
Yeah, she tell like all that like stuff I know about your country. She quite literally is tells me where all the offshore bank accounts are. She's the reason I know that Somerset moved their company to Ireland.
Oh dear. Rebel Media.
She's the reason I know that Margaret Thatcher and John Mayer had an affair.
No, she tells the truth. Go support Kate Smurthwaite.
You've definitely been groomed. They're telling the real truth, the truth that they don't want you to see.
I have a big vat of Kool-Aid over here, Stool. A giant vat.
Rebel Media, unless I'm getting mixed up here, Rebel Media.
Check her out before you trash her. Check her out.
No, I'm not going to look at Rebel Media. It's crap. It's crap. Is Rebel Media the one that's owned by that Canadian?
No. When I say Rebel Media, I mean she's anti-media. She's on her YouTube channel reporting the news. She's not famous. She's not sponsored. She's not rich. She's in her flat reporting, saying like, oh, this went on, or Boris Johnson's a big tit. She's the reason I know she had this countdown of all the lies Boris Johnson told the EU.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, it's a confusing name because if you haven't heard of
she doesn't. She just calls herself Rebel Media because she's not like everybody else. She's not a part of Rebel Media. She just says like, hey, I'm a rogue. Like I'm doing this by myself. Like help me out.
You're forgiven.
F yourself. F yourself.
Yeah, Microraptor, I think that the take on it now is that after you've been injected with the vaccine that they are controlling you that way so they don't need the mask anymore.
Oh, well, now I have the hook stuck in my head. You are forgiven.
And she pulls it up to her arm and sticks it on her arm and it stays there. And she says, see, there's a microchip in there.
I don't have time for that. I saw that. I almost yelled at my freaking phone. That's not real, people. You are making
well, and the shit about it transmitting, they completely neglect the fact that for anything to transmit, it needs a battery. And there is no way they're making a battery that's small enough to put inside a needle.
We honestly do not have a tech. We're not that smart. And that's another thing. These conspiracy theorists give science way too much credit. They're watching like the Sci-Fi Channel thinking that we have nanobots that we can control and, say, move over here, do this. No.
They also fail to understand that there are no ferrous metals in microcircuitry. It's silicon.
I think what's happening, though, is our species is digressing backwards, and we are screwing over our inheritors. We are literally at a point in history where we can look back. We can look back at people that have passed. I said this to my son the other day. we're part of the first generation where we could see people on TV, watch their entire career, watch them go from young to the time that they pass. We're like one of the first generations that can do that. And we're going backwards. We're still stuck on the archaic ideals that we're different and that we all hate each other because of the way we speak, our color, where you're from. The list is endless. Yeah. I'm bored. I'm bored.
The reason, if we're going backwards, the reason for it is simply that, evolution is not concerned with anything being perfect. Evolution is just concerned with it being good enough to last until you can breed.
I agree.
So since society pretty much makes sure that everyone is going to survive to adult age, there's no selection process left and just everything gets through. There's no filters anymore.
I agree.
I'm with Will on this one. I'm bored of all this. It's so boring.
No, because sorry, Stoke. Go ahead.
That's why my block list is famously huge. I think I'm on about 300,000 now because I can't be arsed with it. Just fuck off.
That's my new thing too. And there's people that I'm tired of constantly talking about race or constantly having to justify who I am to people who just don't get it. That's
a serious question from Mage getting the shot, but I actually haven't heard of anybody vomiting from it. I've heard of people having flu-like symptoms for a couple of days.
My mom is fully vaccinated, and she had breast cancer. She had a full mastectomy. She's as unhealthy as anyone else, and she was fine for both shots.
Never underestimate the effectiveness of the placebo effect when people are taking a medication they think is going to do something.
True. The power of the mind is amazing. Like you can, you will yourself to do anything.
Very true. Yeah, people can have all sorts of symptoms that have nothing to do with the medication.
Hypochondria is real.
Yeah. They can have all sorts of symptoms that aren't real at all.
Absolutely,
but they feel them nonetheless. Damn it! Drop again.
Oh, you're still sounding good, Jenny.
I just everything went silent, and I'm up to 3 bars now.
Yeah. We were hearing you fine. You weren't breaking up or anything.
I couldn't hear any of you. This is so confusing. I can't take it anymore.
Sorry.
Hey, but in keeping with today's theme, all these people, all these naysayers, all these anti-vaxxers, all these hate-filled Republicans, all these nasty folks who we've been talking about, on the inside, they're really beautiful.
I can't see your face.
But all of them must have something redeeming about them, although it's kind of hard to find it.
I'm guessing you had your tongue firmly implanted in your cheek when you said that.
Oh, no, it's absolutely true. The real beauty is on the inside. And you look at all these people and they're in relationships. They prove that there's someone for everyone.
Oh, absolutely.
Real beauty's on the inside, so let's start opening them up.
Yeah. I won't mention the orange one, but you're going to struggle to find his inner beauty. I'm pretty sure of that.
Well, the privileged go out of their way to remind you they're a-holes. See, that's the problem. We other ourselves, we move into... Especially like somewhere like my neighborhood, we build giant houses with beautiful lawns, and then we put a guard shack and fences around the entire neighborhood so people can't get in our neighborhood.
Well, okay. And what has been going on in the U.S. for the last 50 years is they find some place that's beautiful. They go in there. They rip out whatever it was they liked in the first place, like the forest, to build a housing development, which they then name after whatever they destroyed, calling it something like Oaks Estate. when there are no oak trees left.
When they tear them all down just to put grass and a front lawn up. I'll never understand that. They do it here. They've literally destroyed the desert landscape. And there's a law. We have these trees. There's only 2 places in the world. There's Israel and here where there are these specific trees. And that's the only reason they haven't gone out into the middle of the desert and built giant housing tracts out there. Because we have these historic, I don't even know what they're called. Oh, the Joshua trees. Duh. Because Joshua Tree National Park is over there. They're the Joshua trees. And they're everywhere out in the desert. Because it's a desert, you know.
Well, and that happens everywhere. That, you know, pretty much in the Midwest, that these things only stop where they hit the national forest.
Exactly. Where it's federally protected land.
Yep. Which, of course, the Republicans have been doing everything they could to get rid of those protections so that they could allow logging and, you know, mineral rights and mining for the national forest.
In the other valley, it takes about 45 minutes to go a mile and a half. This town where I live is slowly turning into that. They keep on building these houses, and I will never understand why people are willing to pay such high prices, but people want to live here. You know, I don't get it. I'm trying to move out of here.
For California, more than anything, I think it's the weather. I think it's mostly just people don't want to deal with winter.
I'm now to the point where I'm okay with owning a coat. If I'm paying for the weather, I'm out of here. See, but I'm from here, so I think this place is disgusting.
I think the main reasons people move to California or Florida is because they don't want to shovel snow.
I can understand that. I've in the past like 10 years, this place has transformed again, and it's just turned into an undesirable place. But I think most major cities in America are like that nowadays.
Well, you know, and that's what the suburbs were all about, was that living in the cities became undesirable. So they made rich neighborhoods just outside the cities so people could live there and still work in the cities.
And now we have their kids on meth stealing Cadillac converters out of cars and stealing old Hondas. The Honda Civic is still one of the most stolen cars here in Southern California. I don't know why someone would even buy one at this point.
Okay, you know what is the best?
Yeah.
You know what is the best anti-theft device to have in your car? A stick shift.
Yeah.
If you have a manual shift, the chance of that car being stolen drops way down.
That's so true. Because the average kid would not know how to.
Yeah.
That's like my...
because so few people know how to drive them, not only are they less likely to get away with it, but the resale value on them is so much lower.
The hospital clinic I go to, they let me park when I go. I'm there like 3 or 4 times a week. Sometimes they will let me park right in front of the hospital. I mean, off to the side, not right in front of the door, but you know, within 20, 30 feet of the door, because none of them know how to or are afraid to drive my car because I've modified it so much.
Oh, what?
So
they have like valet parking in the ramp?
Yeah.
I've done that with my tractor. I recently got asked, what happens if someone tries, you leave your tractor outside? Like, what if someone tries to steal it? I've rewired it and it has 17 gears. Good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck. Good luck. And I grew up with the thing.
Oh,
so
yeah,
I
the most basic farm machinery. If somebody hasn't grown up operating it, they've got no chance of getting it to get up.
Exactly.
And most of that stuff, it's like, even if they do get it going, most of that stuff has a top speed of like 20 miles an hour.
It's a 1979 Ford tractor. That thing, it putts.
I think you showed it to me once.
Yeah, it's a warhorse.
I mean, most people at a good sprint could run it down and grab the person out of the driver's seat.
Heavy machinery is so much fun to drive. It is just a blast. Or I shouldn't say drive, but to operate. I got to use a power shovel once. You know, that's the one with the big articulated arm that digs holes in the ground.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Man,
The
those
excavators.
are fucking blast. Yeah. You just shove that thing into the dirt and push a little lever and it just fuck you.
Where is that? There's a yard. There's a yard out in the middle of the desert here where they have the giant excavators where the tires are they're 2 stories high.
Yeah, the tires are close to 20 feet in diameter.
I have to look that up though because Isaiah's they took all the ASD kids there.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
have
I
you
looked up
seen
that.
like some of the giant dump trucks they use for strip mining?
Exactly.
You know, I mean, those things are literally bigger than a house.
So in California, we farm the land, and if we find any mineral, we mine it immediately. There's oil derricks in my town right now on the far side by the freeway, right now, because they're still pumping oil out of the canyon.
In Elkhart Lake, Road America, the racetrack, one of their sponsors is Manitowoc Industries. I don't know their official name, but they build cranes, Manitowoc cranes, and other heavy equipment like that. And for a sponsorship demo, you know, for their advertisement for the year, they were going to build one of those big dump trucks on site because you can't drive them to the place. You have to build them on site.
Yep.
They're so big. So they started building this thing and they got the wheels in, they got the axles on, they got the frame on. They're starting to put the box and everything in, and they realize that the thing is sinking into the ground.
Yeah.
It was so big the ground could not support it. And they had to stop the project and take it apart.
That's
Yeah.
like
Well, like you say, they have to build them on site because, you know, the size of the things are just too massive to get through a highway. You know, and it's like, how would they ever possibly get it like under a highway underpass or under a railroad bridge?
I really wish I had video of the time that I developed a not irrational. It was rational at the time. Fear of tractors, because we had 2. One was a Ford Light Wills. I forget the model numbers. I'm not a tractor expert, but the other one was with this really awesome red thing. I think it was a massive Ferguson or something. I don't know.
Well,
And
you know, yeah.
It was lethal because of the weight issue, because it had to have these huge weights on the front to stop it from tipping backwards, because it had a huge attachment on the back that weighed fucking a lot.
Yep.
The problem is when you raised the attachment, the front of the thing you'd be doing a wheelie.
Yep.
And we used to live, there was a huge drive down to the main road, very steep. And I lost control of the damn thing, and I was hurtling down this huge drive, couldn't stop the bastard at all, because the brakes were pointless. And I just managed to make it across the main road before a car came along, and I narrowly avoided death, and I couldn't sit on that tractor for about a year. It scared me shitless.
that's
Really?
that's not irrational at all.
No,
That's a
it was
normal
terrifying.
response.
Yeah.
That's a
No,
normal
that's just
response.
being aware of, you know, how dangerous
I mean,
the situation actually was.
Those things are heavy as fuck and powerful. I mean, that's their job in life, to be powerful,
Extra powerful.
Well, and they're
extra
three-wheel-
powerful.
And they're 3-wheel, which is just a horribly unstable platform for anything that moves.
So in Northern California, in the really, really Oprah Richie land, tractor rollovers, like they have a high death rate
Oh, yeah.
because some rich guy will be out in his farm in the middle of nowhere driving his tractor and they roll over and they're pinned and people die all the time. It's not
Oh, yeah.
rare at all. We actually, at the job, we have a two-person rule. Where if someone's on the tractor, like somebody at least has to keep an eye on them, come back every 15 minutes to make sure they're not laying in the middle of the field with the thing on them, you know. Especially these new kids, because they lie on their resume and they say they know how to drive a tractor and they're gonna blow my tractor up.
Yeah, put them in a Bobcat and say, prove it.
No, we do. And see that? No, we have a forklift. Because a forklift is a really easy way to find out if someone's lying or not.
Yeah, forklifts are delicate, very delicate machines.
And I won't hate someone if they tip that. If they tip the tractor, I will hate you. I will hate you. Because then I have to use the other tractor to pull it.
Well, even the forklifts, I mean, there's plenty of videos online, of just the forklifts tipping over because people just aren't aware, of how much weight they're lifting on the front, that the thing doesn't have enough counterbalance to hold it down.
When I was operating this power excavator, of course they were teaching me how to do it, and I bumped the wrong lever for just an instant, and suddenly this big articulated arm with a bucket on it slams down into the concrete in front of the machine and keeps going and pushes the whole machine up on its ass end.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and suddenly I'm on a 45-degree angle before I even got to let go of the lever. It happened so fast. And these guys, to watch them operate these things as smooth as their own human arm, like a maestro with a baton, it's just amazing to see how talented these operators are.
I recently watched two men dig a pool with two bobcats going in the same direction. Basically, it was actually something to watch. My neighbor came and got me. They were like, "Hey, you need to see this. This is actually kind of amazing." And they were like doing like skateboard tricks on there. I was actually thoroughly impressed with these people. But
have you ever seen a guy take a bobcat and load it onto the back end of a truck by itself with no ramp?
Oh yeah, that's what I'm
Have you ever
saying.
seen a guy with a power excavator take it off of a flatbed to the side with no ramps?
I've seen that done with a tractor with a bucket loader.
That's crazy to me.
The
older I get, the less harebrained stuff I do. So I'm more cautious. So I would never have a bobcat sideways because I have a tendency to look down.
You should be able to find it on YouTube. It was an advertising video by a German cream company, Liebherr, Liebherr. I believe it was, where they basically built this tower and had an excavator climb it. It was just unbelievable. This, a 50-ton thing just kind of climbing a tower like a tree.
Holy cow! It's on YouTube. It's all over YouTube.
Yeah, it's worth watching.
It found a link for it. We'll drop it in the side chat so people can check it out.
I'm a boomer. I don't know how to do that, but
So you know how to find stuff on YouTube, but you don't know how to share links.
No, and you want to know how sad and pathetic I am? 2 weeks in a row, my girlfriend has had to post the links to my stream on Twitter, and then I retweet it because I refuse to listen, or my ADD kicks in and I just start going like this when she's talking. So
Alexa, how do you share links?
I don't know that one.
I don't have my headphones in, so the A word is listening to you too. So 2 weeks in a row, I was so miserable that I had to ask my girlfriend, and it'll be 3 weeks because there is a sewing circle on Thursday. So if I don't figure it out, I'll have to ask Jen again to do it for me.
Yeah, I'm technically incompetent with most of this stuff, but
I will say one thing. My father was an absolute whiz with computers. He was an electrical engineer. He was one of those people who got it instantly. You couldn't ask him anything because he had no patience. The IT person at my job kind of has no patience. So I asked Jen, and she takes her time with me. She holds my hand, and she says, "Hey, dummy, come here. Did you push this button? Okay, dummy. Did you push this button? Okay, dummy. Let's do this over here. Is your computer on?" So I respect Jen in that sense, because I have my generation. We were the last to not have computers in the classroom.
Yeah, that's I need people to be patient, and I need people to break it down into very small steps. The problem I have with learning most things on the computer is they tend to assume that you know a lot of this or that you've used a similar program.
Yes.
And they usually start on step 6 and they don't realize I don't know how to get to that menu.
Thank you. If you want to talk about people that have Asperger's, I asked when I finally got all my computers together and everything, I asked my next door neighbor, she has Asperger's, and I asked her to come over and show me editing a little bit. She walked up to my computer, pulled up a screen that still to this day I have not found. I have no idea what she did. With one pull, she pulled the screen up and she was like, oh, you have this much memory, you have this and that, and your computer's fine. She went to my other computer, did the same thing. She's like, oh, this one's valid until this day because it's an Apple. This one's valid to this day because it's refurbished.
Yeah.
I have no idea what she did. I have no idea.
Well, and it's like I wind up with stuff coming up on my screen that like gives me some of the technical stuff like that. And I don't know how to find it, but it just comes up at random when my cat starts hitting keys on the keyboard.
If you want to laugh at me because I'm detached, I didn't know that you can detach this, which you can almost see my password because of my dirty fingers, but you can detach my keyboard. I had no idea. I tried to clean it and some screen popped up and I was like, what the hell am I doing? But I didn't realize that my keyboard was wireless.
Yeah. Yeah, never try to clean any of your equipment while it is turned on.
I didn't know. I just plugged it in. I just plugged the shit in and it works. I plug it in and it goes Zoom.
But if it's wireless, why does it have a cord coming out of the back?
Oh, because that's to recharge it.
That's brilliant.
Okay, but shouldn't that unplug from the keyboard then?
Because I always forget to plug it back in, so I just keep it plugged in. Because you can use it as a keyboard plugged in. But Apple is fancy. They have all this like whiz bang fancy. Like I can literally type from across the room.
You know, it actually pissed me off that my laptop, when the battery went out, I could not use it even with it plugged in.
Yep.
Oh, that's because its internal battery was probably dead.
No,
every computer has an internal battery that is like a mercury cell or something that has all the clock functions.
But that wasn't it, because as soon as I replaced the regular battery, everything's fine again. It's just the way the thing is wired.
Yeah, that's
if the battery is fried out, it doesn't get any power from the power cord.
Purple is correct on that one. I've got a shitty Chromebook lying around. It's actually quite nice for a dinky little thing. Can't use it because the battery's dead.
Oh, that stinks.
Even
you know
if
what I mean? It
mains.
Wasn't that big a deal. I got a new battery for it on eBay for like $15. But it was just the fact that, you know, waiting for that to arrive, I wasn't able to use it for like 10 days.
And also it depends on the device you're using, because especially with Apple products, they purposely make these things so you can't get into them easily without causing a lot of damage.
Yeah. I have never bought an Apple product in my life, and I never intend to, just because there's so much bullshit they pull on the end users.
Oh, I could sit here and cry about it. Like we should make
been using Apple since 1984, and I can't remember one single bullshit they pulled on me after the purchase. Not one.
I could name a bunch. I'll write them down. Okay, so I am currently.
Okay, be sure that things only Apple does that no other computer company
Jenny.
does.
Well, no, it's not things that only Apple does, but it's that any little thing that anybody comes up with, they will do. And it starts with proprietary connectors for everything. So you always have to buy their cords. You always have to buy their products for everything.
And a lot of third-party manufacturers make those cords that you can buy from them instead.
Okay,
this is true.
So I've only found one that is consistently compatible with my with my iPhone, and I bought this off-brand car charger right here. I bought that at the iStore, and it's a off-brand, but it's the only thing that I found that's consistently compatible.
It isn't just Apple. That's true, what Jenny says, but it depends on the Apple product itself. My MacBook Pro, which I use all the time, because of its age, it's one of the unibody ones.
Mm-hmm.
So they're a pain in the ass to get into. And that's how they rip off people, because most people are just going to say, oh, I'll go and pay to have it done.
Do you know what this is?
It's the USB. Oh, it's Firewire too.
That is an adapter for headphones to Thunder.
Yeah, because iPhones no longer have the normal adapter. They have the prongs at the bottom.
Yeah. Do you know why they did that?
Why is that?
Because you can't make a 3.5 millimeter plug waterproof.
I buy otter boxes because my phone survived a fire. How's it going, Rachel Martin?
It's the same with my shitty phone that I have to use for internet connection, which is on its wireless charger 24/7 because the USB port is buggered, and the battery is also screwed. The parts to replace the battery, including the special tool, it's a few bucks. It's not a lot, but to replace the USB port and the battery, you've got to remove the actual screen and all sorts, and you'll damage it in the process, even if you're very careful. So you're gonna say, "Fuck this! I'll take it here and get it done." And those parts that are worth a few bucks, you're going to end up paying over 100 or whatever.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Cell phones, especially, they do not make them to be repaired at all. They really want you to just use it for about a year and toss it away and buy a new one.
which is ridiculous because I'm going to do a bit of a commercial right now. I still have my iPhone 4, and this is the best Walkman I've ever owned. This is the greatest. This is louder than even the new iPhones. For some reason, this thing was built right. And I love it. I still use it.
All cell phones are repairable. All cell phones have specialty testing and repair units that a specialty shop will own that will help diagnose and tell them which parts need to be replaced and things like that. Whether it's an Apple or an Android or a Google, it doesn't matter. All cell phones have those devices available for the repair people. Now, there's a lot of places that have no interest in fixing cell phones because it's more profitable to sell you a new one, but they can be fixed. I have changed motherboards, and I have changed charging units, and I have changed cameras in a cell phone. It's doable. You can, and I can buy the person.
It's very doable, and you can buy the parts to do it yourself, of course. But the thing is, with my particular phone, the special parts that you need include, what do you call them? The sucky things that you need to remove the actual screen without damaging it. Suck hole.
Suction, yeah.
I've never said suck hole on a stream before.
I take advantage of the... Sorry, Still, go ahead.
Even the shops that are very good at doing these things, they've got the equipment and they know what they're doing. But with this particular one, they say that the back of your phone will be damaged during this process because the way it's manufactured, when you remove the back, which you're not supposed to do, it will damage it. It will get cracked.
So I'm actually trying to turn my old MacBook Pro into a modern one, and everything Stool is saying is right. Even if you YouTube it, most YouTubers say like, "Oh, I had to crack this," because they make it look so easy, but it's not easy. It's not. They make it. I've been looking up, researching it, and trying to do it for a while now, and I've given up twice.
What are you trying to do?
Turn my old MacBook into a modern one. There's a component I can buy, but it's
I'm not hearing you. You're
turning my 2010 or 11 MacBook Pro into a modern one.
Oh, you can't. It's a different processing unit. And,
No, but
to
there's
change
a
that, the entire
piece. No, but my whole
different.
point is there's an actual there's ways to go around it, and there's this whole thing you have to buy, but it's a big ordeal just to turn an old computer into a new one.
Yeah, and that's true with there's PCs that I've had that you couldn't just swap one CPU to the next. That you had to buy a whole new motherboard, which is the computer. That only the case is what's usable over again. And it's
Well,
just the way computers are.
I tend to take advantage of the disposable stuff on the other end. Just that, I generally don't buy anything new. I think that every cell phone I've had, has been a refurbished one. So I'll take advantage of everyone else throwing them out so I can buy them at a fraction of the price.
I used to go raid the garbage bin behind the local Apple store before there were actual Apple stores, but the local place that sold Apple computers. And I would steal parts from the garbage and figure out which ones are working and not working and build a computer out of all these used parts.
Oh, that's awesome.
Or picking, as we'll call it.
I've taken Macs and changed their single processor into quad processors and bumped their speed like 20-30%. And you could do virtually anything on a Mac that you can do with a PC. It's just whether or not people have taken the time to learn it.
So, Purple, do you know what picking is? I know you know what picking is, being a picker. Jenny, I know you know what being a picker is.
Oh, absolutely.
Stealing stuff.
No,
I'm not used to using that term, but yeah, I've always been one to kind of, scout out any of the places that people had piles of cast off garbage for seeing what parts I could use.
Rummage sales.
I miss rummage sales. I miss flea markets. I miss the swap meet we used to have every week. That's where we would get a lot of cheap denim too, because most of it, people didn't know what they had. And I would get like cool patches. Well, I pointed the wrong patch. I actually made this.
Well, when I lived
this patch, I got at the swap meet.
When I lived in New York, my primary source of lumber was discarded IKEA bed frames.
Oh, awesome!
Oh yeah, sure. Good L brackets and corner pieces.
Oh yeah, I mean, lots of hardware, but also the actual wood that. Yeah, most of it was that crap particle board, but the frames often actually, were good lengths of pine. You get 3-4 foot long pieces of pine.
High-end bicycle frames are great to buy too, because that's usually chromoly steel.
Do you know what's big business here, where people do, which makes me laugh, but it's not, is pallets. You will see an old Mazda truck. Like what Mr. Entwistle used to have. You'd see an old truck with literally 70 pallets on it.
Yeah, I've built furniture out of parallel lumber many times.
And you're like,
there's a guy who built a house out of pallets.
People are nuts here for pallets. They buy them, so I've seen people getting fist fights over pallets.
Oh, yeah. Like you find a new pallet.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh. And the double length pallets, they make great dining room tables.
And I'm sitting here laughing, but my neighbor had one out by her trash. It was a half pallet. I went and took it. It's on the side of my house right now for no reason.
Yeah, I love that.
We have, so our trash company, twice a year, they have like a dump day where you can throw old couches, old fridges, stuff they normally wouldn't take. And all the pickers come around in their vans and stuff, and they take all the components and hardware off.
Well, where I was living in Syracuse,
you want to make stuffed toys for kids, go buy an old couch at a rummage sale for $20, and you're going to have a lifetime supply of fiberfill.
Yep.
Make sure it's made after a certain era so you don't kill the kids.
Well, yeah.
When I was living in Syracuse, that Syracuse University is basically just a rich prep school. It's a college for all the rich kids. So it's like at the end of the semester, every time they moved out, they didn't take anything with them. And there were just huge heaps of furniture on every street. You know, I got all sorts of stuff, and I actually had a little side business, you know, picking up the old appliances, the lamps and vacuum cleaners, and clean them up and resell them. Because there was nothing wrong with them. Most of the vacuum cleaners worked perfectly well. They just didn't realize you had to empty them.
Oh yeah, I believe that. One of my favorite scores is if you find one of these big giant TVs from the 80s or 90s, to take those suckers apart and steal the Fresnel lens from them. For those who don't know, a Fresnel lens is a piece of glass or plastic that has a series of circular cuts in it that are angled, that radiate out from the center, and they magnify whatever's on one side to the other side. They're used in lighthouses. A lighthouse is so bright and so powerful because it's a Fresnel lens. They're useful for stuff. And you can build a solar stove that will melt steel out of a couple of Fresnel lenses. It's wild. You can also build one that, say, bakes muffins.
I built a spot welder out of parts I ripped out of an old microwave.
So, Purple, your story was reminding me of when I lived in Oregon. I had a friend who worked at this resort out in the middle of nowhere in the woods. And they would always tell me at the end of the season, you need to come down and help me out. And I would say, yeah. So my second year there, at the end of the season, I went down and I realized what he was talking about. Rich people come from around the world. And because they're not used to cold weather, they'll buy $500 snowboard pants, a $500 shirt, a $3,000 snowboard. They'll buy the full gear and leave it in the rooms when they leave because they're so rich. I still have a full airtight. Basically, it looks like it's jeans, but it's weatherproof and it's made for snowboarding. I have I came up on so much stuff. Isaiah has snowboard pants. Like, I brought so much stuff home and kept it because I'm a hoarder that, like, my son's wearing it. But there's just thousands and thousands of dollars worth of clothes that people would just leave there because weather-rated clothes are made well, so they're not cheap. Like, real weather-rated clothes.
Since the topic of microwaves came up, yeah, microwaves had a lot of cool things like motor for the carousel, magnets. If you're into magnets, they have huge fucking magnets in them. But they also have one part that every microwave has that's made out of barium. Learn what that part is and don't fucking touch it. It's radioactive. It will get into your system just by touching it.
What machine are you talking about here?
And it will build over time.
Just let her talk, Stool. Just let her talk.
All right, I'll shut up.
No, I'm giving you a hard time, Jenny. Don't get your feelings hurt. I'm just giving you a hard time.
If you're gonna mention some of these things, I feel responsible for saying the things that we know to be dangerous, and something radioactive. That's dangerous.
She's got a good point.
No, I completely understand. At my job, they used to bury trash in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, so we literally have to drill holes for the methane.
Mm-hmm.
So we have, like, if you want to die, go smoke over. We basically have, like, no smoking within 1,000 feet of this canyon because they would bury trash in the canyon.
There are fill sites, garbage places now that harvest that methane and burn it for power.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't catch the name of the machine/device that Jenny was talking about.
Microwave. A microwave.
Oh,
oven.
microwave. So, all right, sorry. I thought you said microid. You lost me.
Yeah, no, we were saying microwave ovens.
Mm-hmm.
There's something, I won't say it on stream, but in the middle of the desert in Mexico, my cousin showed me the explosive power of a microwave. They're a lot more amazing than you think they are.
What did they do?
They put a car battery in a microwave, and we went about a half a mile back.
Yeah, that's okay.
Oh yeah, if you've got one that you don't care about destroying, and you have a good blast shield, just try putting one and letting it run for about 10 minutes with a good hunk of metal in it.
Oh, we're idiots. It was like a mini nuke. I'm a moron. Don't try that at home. I'm an idiot. I'm lucky to be here. Do not try it at home. You will hurt yourself and everyone around you. We literally went a half a mile and I still felt the kaboom. Concussive forces are real. So do not try that at home. But they have different laws in Mexico.
Do not try this at home. We're professionals.
Yeah.
And this was like 2003 when I did this.
I love Mythbusters.
And so, that's one thing I will say about Mythbusters is that they did teach me to build like a bunker. So if you're gonna blow stuff up, always have a safe space to run to.
Let's take a moment of silence for Grant Imahara.
He was also on a version of Star Trek called Star Trek Continues. You should watch it.
Oh, really?
I liked it. A lot of people don't like it. I loved it.
He seemed like such a wonderful human.
He cared. He played the science officer, I think. I can't remember now. I have to look, but it just was people who absolutely loved Star Trek made their own show. It's called Star Trek. It's on YouTube. They have their own website too. They're part of one of the groups that got sued by CBS. CBS sued all the really good fan films that were on YouTube, like Anaxar, Star Trek Continues. Also, there's a really good one where these fans made a film and it's in the Romulan War era. And I watched it. I've watched it like 15 times. It's canon. It's amazing.
Owners of material, your CBS and stuff, they need to step back and realize that these people are doing something good for them. It's free advertising, goddammit, and these people are trying to steal it. They're not making money off this.
Yeah. If the fans are just making something in the same universe with different characters, they're just promoting your work.
And Star Trek Anaxar will give you goosebumps. You should watch that too. It's another amazing offshoot. They got sued for that too. But there was Katie Sackhoff and James Vanderbeek did this hardcore Power Rangers reboot because I think they were trying to make a movie, and they got sued and they got trashed for it. But it was an amazing fan film. I mean, $1 million top of the line. You should watch that as well. It's just Mighty Morphin Power Rangers hardcore reboot with Katie Sackhoff. It's amazing. But it's more gory and it shows them getting beat up and losing. It's awesome. It's awesome. But what happens is these companies want to maintain utter and complete control. I say this all the time in a business school. BBC did it in America. All their shows were being watched on Netflix, and they figured hey, people are watching this stuff. They took all their shows off of Netflix.
What's unfortunate about the copyright laws is that if a copyright holder does not actively defend its copyright, over time it loses it. Okay, wow. So CBS does not come and smack everybody who does this. Eventually they'll say this has become common law. Sorry, it's public domain.
They're not.
Yeah, unfortunately that is true. That if they're not rabid about it, they could wind up losing the rights to their own characters.
I get it. It just it poops on the little guy who's just trying to show they love something.
Yeah.
That's my thing. It just it makes me angry because there's some real quality work out there that someone may never see because these people who don't have a ton of money got sued. There's some no-name studio who literally spent their entire budget making that,
Yeah, well, that's the copyright laws have not kept up with society and the level of access that people have, not only to, the amount of work out there, but that people have the technology to be making things on their own.
Well, the DCMA that where all this comes out of was written by manufacturers, okay, by who owned the various Congress people to make it pass back in '96. It's the manufacturer's fault that it is the way it is. They could have written it so that there was allowance for this kind of stuff, but they chose not to, and that's what's prickish about it. Is that they could change it, but they won't.
A good example of copyright running out would be the film It's a Wonderful Life, which became a Christmas movie that is shown constantly over Christmas, because a local American TV station realized, hey, no copyright on this, we can show this for free.
Yeah.
NBC shows it every year as long as I can remember. As long as I like clockwork.
Well, so they got to show this film for basically no money whatsoever without getting into trouble because nobody held the copyright, which is why it became such a good, popular film. The owners did eventually get the copyright back, but
yeah, well, that was why, you know, in the US, it was like every little independent station would show that thing like 15 times during the week of Christmas every year. So it's like it was always on if you flip the channel around.
Exactly. That and even A Christmas Carol remind me of that time of year. Like, I don't like watching those until it's December. Copyrights are funny. What about music, though? Because I've made a couple, like, sewing music videos. 2 are copyrighted and 1 isn't. And I find it interesting because the one that isn't copyrighted is from a band that's really famous. And I'm just not going to say it because no one recognized the music. Is it a bot catching all this stuff?
Well, a bot should be able to pick up on a chain of notes, a chain of lyrics, particular words.
Or like even recently, I put the Nell Carter "Give Me a Break" thing up with that whole the gay episode, and I didn't get a copyright strike.
There is an automated thing that can pick up on the music and the words, because I've had my bottom spanked from an automatic thing, but the tune that they said I'd used, I actually hadn't, so the bot had fucked up.
Well, and it's safe for me to sing on stream because I'll be so out of tune the original owner will never recognize it.
Also, it's not usually the owner who's going to complain about it, because you have these big companies that troll through YouTube looking for things to complain about on behalf of their clients. So I've got one, I forget the name of the band, but they did the theme tune to, what is it called? The Sopranos.
Oh yeah, it's pretty much never the artist, it's the production companies that come after it.
Well, I used the full thing, the full tune. It's still up there. And all I got was, hey, this is fine. The owners aren't bothered, but you might just see adverts on your thing. So, you know, it's not always that they're out to get you.
I'm going to look that up.
Well, see, and I wouldn't care about that. Okay, if they want to take the ad revenue from my stream, go ahead. You know, but I've had times that they cut off the stream in the middle, or they block it from uploading because it's got 10 seconds of a copyrighted song in a 5-hour stream. You know, and it's like, okay, why can't you just do that? Why can't you just, you know, take whatever ad revenue would be from it, you know, and let it be so other people can see it?
It depends on the copyright holder. The one that I was just mentioning that I've used, in the description, I made sure that I credited the people who owned the song and whatever, director and of the TV series. So, and I've never seen an advert on it.
Well, yeah, I've gotten the strikes again. It's been from the big companies. It's been from NBC and Paramount and whoever it is that owns Discovery Channel.
That's so weird. You know, it's so weird how they pick and choose. Because I'm looking through right now, like I said earlier, They wouldn't let me post a picture of Humphrey Bogart, but they let me post a picture of Kermit the Frog sipping tea. It doesn't make sense. And he's sipping Lipton tea. It's on my thing right now. I don't get it. I don't understand it. It just seems extremely arbitrary and random to me. See, that's what I'm saying. I'm like that too, though. Like, I don't care. I'll put something up. Like, I'm not trying to get famous, so I don't care if I get a copyright strike. And if they shut down my channel, I'll just make a new one.
You guys, I gotta get going. I gotta get to cardio and let them beat the fuck out of me again.
Okay. I hope it goes well for you. You take care.
I just hope I don't have a heart attack in the middle of it.
Oh, please
Yeah,
don't,
well-
because we need you. We need you for the sewing circle on Thursday.
Okay.
What you've been saying the last couple of weeks, it sounds like all your signs are improving.
Yeah, actually, it's kind of amazing. I actually did a couple things that are my routine stuff that I do today, and I didn't almost drop dead from breathing problems.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, so you're
that was
gaining a bit of
definitely-
endurance.
So we'll see. Just buy me a new step machine, and so I can do it at home. They're only $15,000. Come on, folks. All right. See you all later. Love you
Yep.
guys in chat. I wish I could see the chat.
Bye, Jenny.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye,
Bye,
Stu.
Jenny.
Goodbye, Will. Goodbye, Perp.
So,
Yeah, one of the odd, unexpected benefits I got moving into this building is in one of the public rooms upstairs, there's an exercise bike and a treadmill there for everyone to use.
oh, that's awesome.
It's been good for people during the pandemic when they can't really go out.
I take walks around the neighborhood, but I definitely encourage things like that.
Yeah, well, like for me, usually my work is so physical, I've never had to think about exercising, but since the last year, nobody wants a stranger coming into their house. I haven't been getting that kind of work.
Yeah. Even like when it's been so awful, and these are first world problems. Even when I get my internet work done, like we have to put masks on, we have to stay away from each other. People are just scared of each other right now. And
Well, I understand it.
And certain
I-
communities are more paranoid than others, and I won't say a particular color. LA, I'm looking at you. People are just paranoid here.
Haven't you lot just been told you don't have to wear your masks anymore? Or have I got that wrong?
Well, it's coming in. That's getting phased in area by area now.
Oh, states. Oh, keep forgetting
yeah,
about your silly situation.
Actually, it just started this week in my building here that they took down the signs requiring masks and that so that people can. Supposedly, it's people who are vaccinated.
Yeah,
Can't
exactly.
go around without a mask, but it's like, how the hell can you tell who is vaccinated? And it's the people who aren't vaccinated who didn't want to wear the mask in the first place. So that is such a stupid position to take.
So at
We
the
were
dispensary,
freed on Monday.
at the dispensary, you guys are. I actually watched that press conference. I went to the dispensary. And they had a sign on the door, and I wish I could take a picture, but I'm scared of getting shot in there because they're having no camera policy. But it says, we don't care what the law is, wear an effing mask. And there's a sign, and it's laminated, but it says effing on it. Like, we don't care what's going on, wear a mask.
Yeah,
So-
and I really wish that would be the position that they would take around here, especially in my building, because I know there's our self-appointed doormen here who sit out by the front entrance all the time, and they're anti-maskers. I've overheard their conversations, and they buy into a bunch of the nutty conspiracies.
I double mask. People think in triple when I put my filter in.
Mhm.
It is still slightly weird over here because legally, we were freed on Monday, so we can do a whole bunch of things now, such as go inside a pub, eat inside a restaurant, all that kind of crap. And yet, because of where I live, the fucking outbreak center of the Indian variant.
I saw that today. I saw Matt Hancock's press conference. I guess that's this evening for you guys, but I saw that this morning. What does any of that mean? Now that you brought that up, I was really confused because they said your area and somewhere else, and I can't remember it because it's always like something tree or oak or grove or, Eckley, something.
Emu.
TV, camera, Eckley, emu.
Emu Tree
Entwistle.
Grove.
Do Entwistle now.
Entwistle. I love Entwistle too. He's my favorite character.
Entwistle?
It's a character in a show, Last of the Summer Wine.
It's also a town over here as well.
Oh,
But it is.
I
It's like-
saw a few episodes of that show many years ago, but I don't remember much about it.
It is very weird because, hey, we're all free, except if you live where I live.
Mhm.
Because they haven't given us any new laws or said to us, hey, you're not free anymore. So technically we're free, whilst the Indian variant is running rampant.
Yep.
They've sent out special buzzes to mobile things to jab people.
Yeah, I saw the stuff you were posting on Twitter about that.
Are they
Oh, it's
jabbing
been
or
driving me mad.
are they jabbing or are they testing?
Jabbing.
Oh, okay.
Literally anybody over the age, I forget what age it is, but you can just roll on without an appointment or anything and
Cool.
they'll do you.
Yeah.
Cool. Wish they
Not
had
for
that
me
here.
though, because I can't get to them.
Okay, I got my second shot of the vaccine almost 3 weeks ago. And yeah, I am at this point wondering at what point will it be safe to go to restaurants again?
So we do this really weird thing in California where you still wear your mask, you go inside a restaurant, but then when you sit down, you take your mask off.
Yep. Well, it's supposed to be so that when you're, like by the entrance and that when you're walking past other people, you're supposed to mask. But when you're sitting at the table, supposedly you're social distancing enough that you don't need it.
I never understood that. And another thing I've been noticing, because I'm just weird in general, people do not social distance. I will give someone a full 5 to 6 feet, and then I'll be in line, and someone will be so close to me I can hear him breathing.
Well, yeah, it pisses me off because last year for about 6 weeks, people would social distance.
Mhm.
And after that, it's like, yeah, then they're just in the store reaching right across me to grab something off the shelf.
Exactly. I actually got into it with somebody at a thrift store that did that. And they pulled a fake Karen and they were acting like they were going to call the cops because they got kicked out. But they were just on their phone walking to their car, making fake phone calls. So I don't get it. I don't get it.
Well, you may or may not have seen this. I saw it on the Twitters just before this. On Good Morning Britain, you know what that is?
Of course.
They were interviewing these two ladies who were stood, just members of the public, who were stood in the centre of town where I live. Yeah.
No, I haven't seen that.
It's hilarious. And I'll post a link to the article in one of the newspapers about it because everyone's laughing their tits off about it. Because they stood there outside in the town centre without their masks. And one of the ladies says, I don't go out anymore. I'm not going out.
In the middle of the town. Oh, I hate it. See, don't you hate it when people represent where you're like, you look at that person like, you live where I live, dummy. You represent where I live.
Yeah, one of my favorites from the lockdown.
Do you know what's been really working has been my Slayer patches and my big bushy angry eyebrows. So as long as I have that scowl on my face, people social distance, Or I'll wear a patch with something extremely vulgar, or a jacket with something extremely vulgar on the back.
Yeah, I've been tempted to stop taking the gabapentin and just let the Tourette's out, because when I'm just randomly jerking and making high-pitched noises, people tend to stay away from me.
Exactly. Because of my cowboy hat, people can't see my Bluetooth. I have a Bluetooth thing for my phone because I'm a complete asshole. And there's been times where people think I'm legitimately talking to myself, but they leave me the hell alone. Because under my cowboy hat, you can't even see the blue light or anything. and it works. So there is something to be said about being a little bit off will help you with social distancing.
You see, Ox, this is why people hate the British. It's 80 years later and you're still doing the French surrender joke. Oh.
Yeah, well, and as far as it being safe 14 days after your vaccinations, yeah, my question keeps being, with so many people not getting vaccinated, how fast is this mutating, and what are the chances that we've already got a strain out that I'm not going to be protected against?
I can barely breathe on a normal day. This is going to be interesting. What's going to happen is I'm going to just be wearing a full bubble suit with both middle fingers out. Just full bubble suit. Don't come near me. A sword attachment. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. Arms be walking around in a spacesuit.
That would be cool. I could do that.
That was a great Doctor Who episode. Possible Astronaut. If you're bored, great episode. That's actually one of the better Matt Smith season openers.
I remember it.
Amazing.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of the newer ones, so I haven't seen any of the Doctor Who since like 2008.
Is that I can't even say his last name and Stuhl's gonna make fun of me. Christopher Eccleston. Mm-hmm.
I don't even remember the actor's name.
Was one of my favorite doctors, but that's because I watched Trainspotting too many times.
Yeah, it was just into the beginning of the Bad Wolf thing that he was seeing Bad Wolf written on everything. Awesome. But I didn't even see where that story arc was going.
Oh, Bad Wolf. I am the beginning and Bad Wolf is awesome. I literally have Bad Wolf written on a shed outside of my house. I got bored one day and realized I live on my own, and I wrote Bad Wolf in black spray paint on one of my sheds. Now it's dilapidated and old, so it really looks like an old TARDIS, a forgotten one. That's one thing that I haven't built at my shop yet. I'm going to look up the specs. I'm going to build a TARDIS. That's one ridiculous gaudy thing I don't have.
I actually saw plans online for somewhere from
exactly
one of my woodworking sites. Because actually had the plans with the measurements for all the parts to build it.
I was thinking about making round things for my background, but then my American flags pissed off everybody, so the flags are staying for a while. But I also was going to make round things, like the old TARDIS. I love the round things. Literally, if you Google the round things, Doctor Who pops up. Not even porn. It's Doctor Who. That's how hardcore Doctor Who is.
You're right. I typed the round things into Google search, and the first thing that comes up is the round things Doctor Who is how it wants to complete it.
Exactly. And that made a comeback with the 50-year anniversary when David Tennant and Matt Smith mentioned him. Oh, I gotta quit smoking. I'm gonna have to quit smoking pod soon, or at least take a day off. My lungs hate me with all the fires we've been having. And it's a windy day, and I could see, looking out past my computer, out the garage, I can see the sky's kind of brownish. So when it's windy, it picks up all the particulates in there and moves it around the entire valley.
Okay, and how come when they talk about how many incarnations of the Doctor there have been, they never count Peter Cushing? You know, are those movies like non-canon? Do they not count in the series at all?
So no, they're not. You know, they're not, because they're not considered canon, because they don't constantly promote them like everything else. I've seen them.
Yeah, that's a shame. I actually thought he did the character quite well. You know, and for the time they were made, I thought those were pretty good movies.
Ecclestone, huh?
Okay, Will, there's a simple rule. However you're saying it is wrong. That's all. You know, you can apply that to every word you speak. You're mispronouncing all of it.
You know what's so funny? When I have a conversation with people where I'm from, we literally, it's like, dude, did you see what I saw? Bro, I totally saw that. And that is literally the extent of our conversation.
Okay, there you go. Ox found your TARDIS plans.
Heck yeah.
There's a link in the side chat.
I need something to do. Besides yell at people.
This is another one of my new inventions for a TV game show, Will. I'm just going to call it, Let's Make Will Say Stuff.
Okay, I just want to build a TARDIS because I need a storage space that's bigger on the inside than it is on the outside.
Oh, that would be just amazing. That would be amazing.
So yeah, I can have something that's only the size of a phone booth, and inside I can have a full woodworking shop. Oh. And I have Kitty here who thinks I've been playing with the computer too much. He's feeling neglected.
Just take the baconer out and don't burn the house down. There's all kinds of things I can't pronounce. Ecclestone? Eccleston. No, his name is confusing. Eccleston. And the Eighth Doctor, too. Is it Paul McCann or McGann?
He's a McGann.
McGann. Not the Doctor you expected. I love that skit. It's a Purple. When this is over, you should go watch the 50th anniversary short where Paul McGann revises his role as the Doctor. It's amazing. And he regenerates into John Hurt, which is the War Doctor. It's like a 5 minutes hit. He lands on Karn. He says, 4 minutes. That's ages. Bring me a television. Bring me knitting. Just classic Doctor Who. Just classic lines. Emu and Whistle. Ecclestone, TV camera woman.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to prepare a list. I'm going to have to learn how to send links. And then you're going to hate me because I'm going to send you like 700 links one day, Purple. Of all the stuff I want you to watch.
What?
Now I have Battlestar Galactica stuck in my head. No, I'm sorry. B5, not Battlestar Galactica. We were talking about a song last night. And emo is a phase that people go through, and Dashboard Confessional is for depressed teenagers. Go check it out. I'm old. I never had enough hair for emo, and I was way old by the time the emo thing came around. And because of my body shape, I do not wear tight pants. It sends the wrong message. Sorry. So I can't wear girl jeans. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll have to see in a couple of months what I can wear.
Have you, I know it's early. Have you noticed any changes?
Well, no, I've only had the patches for a week now.
I know. Asinine question. I know.
It's still kind of unreal to me that I was able to get them so fast.
In America, we don't have issues like they do in the UK.
Well, actually, I was actually told that this is really a pretty recent thing that, yeah, even like 2 years ago, they wouldn't have been able to approve them nearly so fast without doing a whole bunch of other stuff.
Crazy. I'm from lefty land where, like, you know, come as you identify, as the saying goes. You know, still, everyone's going to wonder why you posted those words on Twitter. And only Jen's going to know that I can't pronounce them. You know, I would order. So I constantly get texts from a delivery service that would deliver pot. If they ever got my order right, I would go back to them. But they never got my order right. So... And I told them that, and they still send me advertising.
Yep. Once they got your phone number, you're stuck with it.
Oh yeah. Like I'll block them. They just send it from a different phone number. So I just let them text me.
Yeah, I get that just because I got a new phone number assigned because I need one in the local area code. I'm just constantly still getting things for somebody I've never heard of.
You know, I need to check that out because my old flip phone had somebody else's number to the point where I was taking messages through this guy. People were calling so much. I can't remember the person's name. I knew their full name. Like, I helped people go looking for this person. They're like, why did blah, blah, blah disappear? I'm like, hey, I just got a phone. I have no idea.
I have actually changed my outgoing message to say, I don't know who Joseph is. This number has been reassigned. Take it off your calling list.
It got so bad that I would say, I'm not blah, blah, blah. And people would be like, are you sure? I hate people. Yeah. People don't believe you when someone switches their number and they don't tell their friend. They're like, oh, but I was their friend. Maybe you were the a-hole in the relationship if you don't have that person's number.
Well, and I had one that kept calling, you know, to send me diabetic supplies. And yeah, the guy on the other end would not believe I was not this woman he was calling for. It's like, you know, I think I would know if I needed diabetic supplies.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. You know, I don't believe any phone call though, because I have a landline, so I get calls for like your car warranty's up. I own all my cars outright, you know. I get robocalls all day long, every day. So I believe nothing. I don't know.
Yeah, the robocalls aren't even worth dealing with because, you know, you can never get those taken off.
My phone didn't work for a week. I didn't notice because who really uses a landline? And when I got my phone fixed, I was like, oh, the robocallers probably missed me. I'm not kidding you. Within 45 minutes of my line working, I started getting robocalls again. But I had to send a fax recently, and I'm just old enough to know how to do that. And it was successful on my first try. So, kids, a facsimile it's a copy that you send over a telephone.
So after you sent this fax, did you phone up and say, "Did you get it?"
No, I have I have a print. I have an HP printer, and so it sends fax, and then it sent me a confirmation sheet. Oh, yeah, old school meets new school. But I felt like a dinosaur because something was happening, and like I was printing out the file she sent me and everything, and I told the register, I was like, "Can I send you a fax?" And she's like, I'm just old enough. She's like, you're the first parent to ever want to send me a fax, but go ahead. And I sent her a fax within 30 seconds. I hooked that thing up to my landline and it was gone. I faxed 19 papers because they wanted, to register my son for junior high, and with special needs, you need papers, insurance, and all that stuff. So I sent all that fax, and we lit beacons to let each other know that it got there. But it made me feel old, but that technology is still useful, damn it. And it's still here to stay.
Well, I think mostly the fax has gone away just because every printer that's a fax is also a scanner. So it's just easier to just scan it and send it in an email.
Something I maybe, you know what? It was me and I didn't want to bother Jen. So I ended up sending a fax. Because last time I tried to scan something, I almost went blind. You got to close the lid. Step number 1 is close the lid. I was kidding on that, stool. That was all for your benefit. But yeah, I'm that old. I'm fax machine old. That's how old I am.
But did you not just say a few moments ago that you literally hooked your printer up to the phone line?
Yeah, I had to send a fax.
Okay, Will. Okay.
You can't send a fax without it being hooked up to a landline.
Yeah, see, that's the thing that Stool can't get, is he's trying to figure out what is a phone line.
Oh, I know what a phone line is. I aged well. It's just the idea of him actually physically hooking the printer up to a phone line. I mean, wow, that's hardcore.
I had to move it and everything because it was the cords over here. I didn't have a long enough cord. So yeah, it was hardcore. It took me longer to move the printer and all the crap in here than to send the fax. Like anything else, it was the setup. But hey, I have one hell of a scanner over there now. I'm going to start making horrible thumbnails too. That's another thing. Now that YouTube is not letting me post I tried to put a picture of Dorothy from the Golden Girls. They wouldn't let me do it. I tried to put all kinds of stuff up there. They wouldn't let me do it. I'm just going to start making my own thumbnails.
Oh, God help us.
And because I have an Apple, it literally will walk you through it. Because they know the average owner of an Apple is, they buy it because they're too dumb for Windows. I said it.
That's one of the things that has surprised me, that almost all of my thumbnails have just been pictures that I've stole from a Google search, and I've never got a strike for any of those.
That's what's starting to bother me. And like the last couple pictures up until that weird SpongeBob picture, those were pictures that I actually took. Like there's the Caitlyn Jenner hate stream. I took that picture at a restaurant of the beautiful hills of California. So you have a vaccine when office assistant. How long before you copy him? I've gained some weight, so I don't know if I sit on that thing. I would destroy it.
Yeah, actually, Doorknob had that's faxed up the Yahoo.
How's it going?
Okay, there's part of my dinosaurness. I'm actually still using a Yahoo email.
So,
I have been using the same email account uninterrupted since sometime in the 1990s.
I always get a reaction when I tell people my email. I've had the same email since 1996. It's still active. I still work with it. I have an AOL email with my real name, and every time I give it out, people are like, "The AOL still exists?"
Yeah, I never had AOL, but for my Toy Trader account where I do all my Lego selling, that's been the same Yahoo email since like 1994.
I had to get a Gmail because certain services are like, you're lying. AOL doesn't exist, and they won't recognize my AOL account.
Mhm.
So I had to get a Gmail for certain services.
Yeah, one of the things about the internet that annoys me is that the suffixes no longer have any meaning. Like it used to be that .com actually was a commercial business, and .edu was an actual school, and
Exactly.
.org was a nonprofit.
But now Dennis Prager is considered EDE. I can't say it.
Yeah,
And Grand Canyon University and all these other crap Christian universities that they just have millions to make these fake schools.
Edu.
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 yeah.
That's actually a place in Japan. Don't be a racist.
It's official. Will says Stool is a racist.
I look out for my peoples. All my peoples of color. And well, sorry, go ahead.
Still technically supposed to be only for official educational establishment, but you can pay a few bucks and get yourself a .edu address, should you wish, which is kind of sad.
Is that like where what's his name? Ken Ham gets his and all those people, they say, "Oh, I went to this accredited school," and it's a trailer in Tennessee somewhere, but they have an EDU on there. It's ridiculous. That's why
it's kind of different over there, isn't it? Because anybody can just call themselves an educational establishment if they so wish.
So what they did years back, because I know someone that got a fake diploma, they started cracking down on diploma mills.
Emu.edu.
I think you just created something, nerdy. You just invented something.
Emu.edu. I love that.
I'm gonna switch my thing to emu.
Yeah, I was thinking that I'd missed the chance. I should start a Woo channel, but it's actually even easier to just start a diploma mill.
Oh yeah.
I live very close to St. Cloud State, so if I started printing them out as being diplomas from St. Cloud Street, I think most people wouldn't notice the difference.
I knew somebody that used to be close to me. They got one of those fake degrees, and it comes with a test. They were taking the test. I look at the book, and I'm like, "Hey, dummy, the answers are on the back." Yeah, so they literally give you the test with the answers so that you get 100%, so you get a college degree. They're diploma mills, because you have to, or they'll say write a thesis. And I know this person literally wrote F off and they got a doctorate.
Yeah, well, mine's going to be very simple. You send me $4,000. We wait 6 months so we can pretend you did some coursework, and I send you a diploma.
That's legit. I knew somebody that avoided prison time by leaving the state of California, but I knew someone that was running a pill mill. They were a legitimate doctor, and this person would go to the poorer neighborhoods and write these insane prescriptions. And then they'd get all the kickbacks from the pharmacies and everything, and it was awful to the point where they got raided by the FBI.
Oh, that's rampant for things like codeine in Florida.
Here, it's
codeine and oxycodone in Florida.
Same thing here.
Yeah,
same thing here.
There are people who drive there, like from Ohio, to be in Florida for one day to get prescriptions from multiple doctors filled at multiple pharmacies, and they can drive back the same day with literally thousands of pills.
Yep. So they were trying to crack down here, but then they realized how many people were using pill mills.
Hey, Randy.
Randy.
You guys still on here? For shit's sakes, I went to the store, got groceries, flirted with 2 women, got slapped once, and came back home. What the hell?
Here you are.
It's been less than 3.5 hours for us. Hey, nice going on the slap. You at least got physical contact from a woman.
Yeah, it was great.
See, now I have so many questions for. Oh, sorry.
Well, I went to the dollar store just to pick up a few cheap things, and the kid at the counter says, they just lifted the ban on masks today if you've been vaccinated. I'm like, no, I did not know that. He's like, yeah, you don't got to wear one now if you've been vaccinated. I'm like, yeah, the problem is who's been vaccinated. It's not like, we got a glowing red nose and shit.
Yeah. I actually almost wish that the vaccine had left some visible mark on my arm just so people could actually see it.
I don't know how you can do that in a place like LA where there's 10 million people just in my county. And we have
doorknobs question. No, my hand went on strike. So there.
Oh, I've been dating Pamela Henderson for a long time.
Yeah, Randy, I think your connection's unusually good today. I'm not noticing any real lag time for you.
Yeah, there's a little bit of haze in the air. It's off and on sprinkles today. I was supposed to go out camping, but my camping friends just kind of pussed out. So I'm just gonna go sleep in the van anyways. It's already packed. To hell with it. I'll unload tomorrow.
I did that one time when I used to surf, and a bunch of my friends, we were all going to go camping. I had my truck packed, and everyone's like, one by one, they all pooped out. I literally got in my truck and left and went camping by myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I used to do that. I lived in the woods for about 10 years. That's how I learned a lot of my survival skills. And I just didn't want to be around human beings, but they just kept coming out there bugging me. So I had to move around an awful lot.
Yeah, I'm old enough to remember when campers were people instead of vehicles.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember pitching a tent on the ground. And not these tents that you pull it out of the bag and it automatically pops up. These things that you actually had to put a dozen stakes into the ground and stick the poles inside. That's how I'm used to camping, and that's why I don't do it anymore.
The average person can't put a tent together if the poles aren't connected.
It's true. That's why they got the little stretchy thing in them now, so people can just flop them out there. It puts itself together. Pretty pathetic.
Well, and like I said, with my family, we were going camping that there were at least a dozen of us. So, yeah, we were putting up these, 10 foot by 10 foot army tents, World War II surplus.
Oh, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I love sewing on all kinds of crazy stuff. My son's obsessed with military uniforms. We bought a bunch of uniforms recently, and I bought one where I cannot wash the diesel fuel smell out of it. I think something happened and they used it to sop up diesel fuel, and it's just a faint smell. But because I work around fuel, I can't get the smell out of my nose. It's the funniest thing. But someone worked their ass off in that uniform is what I'm trying to say. Because all the other Army surplus ones, they're used, but they're not, they don't come with bullet holes or anything, know. But this one, it reeks of diesel fuel.
Yeah, I kept my good BDUs. I got a few pair of them. And, of course, my dress chains and a few other things. But, that's about it. Not a whole wardrobe.
I have my dad rocked his Nom one for a while, but it's old. It's old. It needs to be framed and put on the wall. It's so old.
My father, to his dying day, had this weird connection with the World War II Army blankets that were made of wool, and the things were scratchy as hell. Could never understand why they were comfortable, but it was a security blanket for him.
People are so funny that way.
Yeah, so, somehow, and he was in France during World War II, and, just somehow that was comforting to him.
War's funny. Like I always talk about, my grandfather never flew in a plane after World War II. He refused to. And he took my grandmother around the world, but they went on cruises. And because he was there at D-Day, it was so traumatizing to him, he never stepped foot on a plane again, ever again. I always thought that was interesting.
Yeah. Well, that's, my father and a number of my uncles were in Europe in World War II, in various parts of it. It was one of my great uncles was in Italy and actually saw when they had Mussolini hung up, and the people of the town were coming out and, giving presents of bread and cheese to the U.S. soldiers, thanking them for liberating them.
Yeah, I got a lot of traffic going by today. Sorry about the noise.
Oh, no, that's probably me. I live by a freeway. I got birds going, all kinds of crazy stuff. It's an extremely windy, weird day. We have fires raging all up and down Southern California. So it's like, it's supposed to be a beautiful day, but there's also smoke being swirled around in the air. So it's gross.
Right.
Yeah, seems I got lucky this year. And now it looks like the lawnmowers are coming on Tuesday instead of last year. They always came Wednesday in the middle of my stream. It was always about half hour to an hour after I started my stream. I'd have to get up and close all the windows because the lawnmowers were deafening.
Same here. I don't even know what day the gardener comes anymore.
Yeah. Well, both the noise and just that when they're running those things, that's sure to kick up all my allergies. So then I've got the hacking cough for the rest of the day if I don't have all the windows closed.
Yeah, I'm on my own lawn. And I got a shitty ass lawnmower too.
Well, that's one of the few advantages of renting. Go ahead, Randy.
Yeah. Well, I was the reason why I'm doing the sleeping in the van thing is because I plan on taking a trip, within a couple months down to Florida to see some friends down there. And I thought, okay, I don't want to rent any rooms or any of that crap. I just want to pull off the road somewhere and take a nap for a couple hours and all that crap, and then get back on the road and drive and just do my camping in the van. And then when I get there, just park in the backyard or whatever. And hopefully it's cool enough underneath the shade tree where I can sleep down there. But I don't plan on going until like September or something. But this is just a test for today. And I've been looking online with all these damn rich kids building all these, van conversions and car conversions and all this crap. And it's like, dude, I do not have a giant garage with all kinds of tools, and can't afford to just go down and get a $50 piece of freaking plywood whenever the hell I want, So, I got just a regular sleeping like an army cot, and it fits just perfectly. I just folded the seats up in the back, and then, I figured out where I can put my amp and harmonicas and all the chords and shit in there. And then after that, I got plenty of room for anything.
Well, I definitely see that, if you're driving, if you're taking trips that are like more than 500 miles, I can definitely see that of just being able to pull off in a parking lot and sleep for a while. I had actually started to build a thing when I was living in New York for a pop-up tent on top of my van.
I'll stay quiet because I have a travel trailer.
Yeah, here those are nice.
I'm bougie. I'm actually selling mine because it got it's a long story, but I'm actually selling mine, and I probably will never buy another travel trailer ever again. If I do, I'm gonna buy one of those tiny 2 or 3 person ones.
Yeah. And they had to go calling them travel trailers because we had already reached the point of having so many trailers that never went anywhere.
Well, I always say trailer, but people in the UK would always be confused when I was talking about with my truck and travel trailer. The truck is 25 feet long and the trailer was 30 feet long. So it was huge when I would drive when I drive that thing.
Well, I think in the UK they're called caravans. Okay,
I think that's what most normal people call them, yeah. But
no, that's not what normal people call them. That's what they call them in the UK.
My battery's gonna go on my phone and I need coffee. So before that happens, I'm just gonna say bye-bye and I'll catch you later, okay?
Later on, Stool.
Oh, okay, Stool. Okay. Catch you later.
All right. See you later, chaps and people and whatever.
I know I should be making lunch soon anyways. We have been going for a while.
Yeah, we should probably wind this up here. We've been 3.5 hours.
What's his name's coming over here?
Don't send me any songs.
You don't want to learn Last of the Summer
I'm
Wine.
good to go. I've never heard of it.
It's a British television show. It's the opening theme song. It's a harmonica riff.
Oh, okay.
I'll play it for you when the stream's over.
Okay, well, why don't we wrap up here? So, Randy, you got anything you want to plug?
Tomorrow, my show, Shedding Mysticism, is going to be offline until further notice for personal reasons, and I apologize to everyone for that. But I still do have on Saturday afternoons, 5 Eastern Standard, live with a harmonica man, and I'm going to try to get some videos out depending on my data on my cell phone, and that's about it.
Yeah, you've still got that very limited internet, so. Okay, well,
on the camera.
Will, what have you got going on?
Hi, I'm Godless Sewing from the Godless Sewing. Damn it. Okay, let's try that again. Hi, I'm Godless Sewing, and I smoke way too much. Do you like tire fires? Do you like judging people and talking about stuff? Well, this Thursday, Kitty the Atheist, the Empress of Hell, myself, and hopefully Purple Rhymes with Orange, and anyone else who would like to join, we will be discussing why drugs should or should not be legal. And today at, I believe, 3:30 West Coast time, Sam Chaos, Maddie, and myself are having the 9th episode of Pub Religion. So go check that out on Sam Chaos's channel. And if I forgot you, I love you. There's so much stuff to plug. I forget half the time. Go subscribe to Jen's Little Corner channel. She has Jen's little corner. She has Stub Jen and all kinds of amazing stuff. I do have a smoked out throat. I smoked for 20 years. Von Reck called it. My voice is actually really high, but smoking is what brought it down.
Yeah, well, that's why I hate the allergies, because they make me sound like I've got a smoker's sack, like I've been smoking for 30 years. And it's like, no, I never did. It's just all kinds of things irritate my throat all the time.
Exactly. My voice has been shot for the past 10 years anyways. I'm such a loudmouth.
So, yeah, I don't have much to say. Will already pretty much plugged everything I'm going to be on, except for the shills have been moving their schedule around. So currently it's being Saturday evenings at 8 o'clock Central. But yeah, they're experimenting with the time, so I can't even be sure week to week if that's going to stay consistent. So aside from that, yeah, I'll be back here tomorrow night at midnight, and next week at the same time. So with that, I would just thank all of my Patreon subscribers: Vonrick, Junie, Ox, Robert X, Mikey Famine, The Lavender Lady, and Greg Hartwick.
Yay!
For helping me keep things going here. And
job,
of course, Junie again for the new avatar, which I'm just loving. So with that, thank you everyone, and bye-bye.
Bye.